Pokémon. Starting with Greninja. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 300. Is your Metagross still tough? I have said what I need to say. Is it time to start the battle? Kyle took out the Pokeball and looked at Zumu solemnly. The boy who he had bullied casually at the beginning has finally grown to the point where he can be on equal footing with him. Not to mention social status. Zumu is also the top fighter in this world in terms of strength alone. Although there is still a gap between him and his father in terms of hard power, it is not a big problem. The lack of ability of the trainer can be compensated by cheating. Please, Greninja. Now, Greninja, who is already in the early stage of the leader, has the strength of the peak of the leader after the bond transformation. It is no longer the same as before. Metallica, please. The same is true for Kyle's Metagross. The strength of the late stage of the leader can reach the peak of the leader after Mega Evolution. In this battle, Zumu really didn't use the mythical beast to bully others. Speaking of which, it is as fair as possible. The main reason is that Kyle is sensible and admitted his weakness at the beginning and proposed a one-on-one. Otherwise, if the two sides fought 6-on-6 according to the original intention, Kyle might lose so badly that he couldn't find his way. The 6 divine birds came out together, which directly made Kyle collapse. Greninja, do you remember the past? I tell you, don't worry, we will come here sooner or later and have this level of strength. Zumu looked at the familiar scene and said slowly, cool, remember. Of course I remember. There was also a strong fighting spirit in the eyes of Greninja. There is nothing to say. I was abused by Kyle at the beginning, and I must get back at him this time. Okay, prepare for battle. Bond transformation. Zumu roared, and his blood was rarely excited. Following Zumu's words, Greninja started the bond transformation. The whole body was wrapped in water and burst into dazzling blue light. Megalodon. Mega Evolution. Kyle did not admit defeat. At the beginning, Metagross could easily defeat Greninja. Now, Kyle didn't think that his Pokémon would be too bad, but he really thought too much. After Greninja and Metagross completed the Bond Evolution and Mega Evolution, Greninja slowly opened the Sharingan he had just obtained. For a moment, the whole world slowed down in front of Greninja. Metagross, use Comment Punch, Kyle ordered, attacking first. Zumu did not speak, and did not let Greninja use his signature opening skill. Greninja watched the slow-moving Metagross use Comment Punch, and the light emitted from Metagross's body after using the skill began to emerge faintly. Every trace of energy track was clearly illuminated in Greninja's eyes. With a smile on his lips, Greninja gave Kyle a surprise. He backhanded a Comet Punch and slammed into Metagross's fist. Everyone was shocked on the spot, but Metagross was a veteran after all. A veteran on the battlefield. Seeing that Greninja blocked his attack, without any hesitation, he swung his other fist fiercely. Thunder Fist. Greninja synchronized with Metagross's movements almost instantly. Thunderbolt Punch back. Bang! The fists collided again, evenly matched. Metagross was stunned. Greninja laughed. Metagross, with 2 fists left, used Flame Punch and Frost Punch continuously without Kyle's order. Greninja didn't hesitate at all. At the moment when Metagross continued to attack, it strangely pulled back its hands and used Flame Punch and Frost Punch to fight back. Completely replicated. Exactly the same. Kyle watched Greninja use these skills that he could never learn. He was surprised. Zumu, this. Zumu didn't answer, but smiled. Today is the debut of Greninja's Sharingan. Although it is not a Mangekyo Sharingan yet, the ability of this bloodline limit is still a huge hint to Greninja. Just like now, Greninja almost didn't waste much physical strength. It broke the mentality of Metagross and Kyle. Greninja, stop playing. Get started. Seeing that Metagross was a little impatient, Zumu knew that the opportunity had come. At the same time, Greninja also saw the opportunity and used the Shadow Clone technique directly. Then, the signature skill, the super large Jade Water Spiral Shuriken. Metagross, Spiral Ball, or high-speed rotation. It is a skill that combines both offense and defense. Obviously, Kyle also knew Zumu a long time ago, and knew the signature skills of Zumu and Greninja. He chose the most correct response method at the first time. Unfortunately, in front of Greninja, who opened the Sharingan, these resistances were redundant. Like Sushen, Greninja started to sprint in one step. At the speed of a 100-meter sprint, it rushed to the front of Metagross. Dozens of Greninjas surrounded Metagross like ghosts. Crazy pitching. Bang 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 bang. Metagross was hit. There was not enough brain. What's going on? What happened? Am I a billiard ball? The spinning ball was attacked by the spinning ball crazily, with balls flying all over the sky. That feeling was simply crazy and even dazzling. Chapter 301 Engagement. Marry me, Metallica. Don't panic. Seeing that Metagross was being hit by Greninja like playing billiards, Kyle hurriedly spoke to dissuade him. At the same time, he racked his brains to think of a way to deal with it, but there was no way. In front of the Super Natty with the Sharingan activated, any resistance was futile. Just like when Metagross completely defeated Greninja, at this moment, Greninja completely broke out and began to fight back. The original situation was completely reversed. Watching Metagross being abused by Greninja with various means, and finally falling down unwillingly, Kyle could only sigh helplessly. Zumu, this kid, has been excellent since he was young. He has grown up too fast. Okay, you win. Taking back Metagross, Kyle had to look at Zumu straight in the eye. Look again at this young man who wanted to take away his little cotton jacket. Zumu has a talent far beyond Zufeng, and also has extraordinary perseverance. In addition to luck, he has also worked hard to get to this point at such a young age. Zumu, what have I done? I am so embarrassed to say this. It is the credit of the dog system and the L's independence. Thank you, Uncle Kyle. There was no radical action. After all, he is the future father-in-law, and Kyle has already agreed. Zumu smiled and stepped forward, bowed slightly to thank him. Then, he took out a delicate little box from his pocket. Turning around, he looked at Shirona with a warm smile on her face. My girl, I have fulfilled my promise. This is my action and also a proof of my love for you. As he said this, Zumu gently opened the small box. Inside was an exquisite diamond ring. Shirona covered her mouth with her little hand and stood there blankly for a while. She admitted that she was stunned at this moment. That's right, not just stunned. Shirona's whole brain was blank. Just like what a girl once said, no girl doesn't like flowers. Similarly, no girl doesn't fantasize about the arrival of this moment. This is not just an engagement, but also Zumu's proposal. Thinking about the past scenes, thinking about the encounter in the evergreen forest, and the later knowing and loving each other, tears welled up in the corners of Shirona's eyes. In fact, from the moment we met, I knew that you belonged to me for the rest of your life, and I am willing to spend my whole life loving you and taking care of you. Although we have only known each other for less than a year, we are destined to be together. As early as 16 years ago, we had an engagement. Everything is fate and it is a natural outcome. So, Shirona, come on, let me wear the witness of our love for you. Zumu's words were affectionate and gentle. Shirona couldn't control her tears at all, and they burst out like a spring. Zumu, At this time, Shirona couldn't even say a complete sentence. Zumu looked at the girl who was about to become his wife with a smile, and his heart was filled with emotion. I like you for more than 16 years. The meaning of this sentence is understood by everyone. Zumu said that he had already liked Shirona before he traveled through time, and Shirona understood that Zumu promised her that he would love her for the rest of her life. Walking slowly towards Zumu, Shirona's tears had already flowed to her neck. Zumu smiled and laughed, and he could not help but feel his eyes moist. I said I won't cry. Why is the wind so strong? His voice was a little trembling, and Zumu pursed his lips, seeming to cry and laugh. Puff. Shirona was amused by Zumu's self-talk. Looking at Zumu's sincere face, she slowly stretched out her little hand. Instead of taking the shiny ring, she helped Zumu wipe the corners of his eyes. Kyle looked sad, and Serena looked confused. The old man was feeling that his little cotton-padded jacket had finally left him. He became someone else's favorite. The little girl looked confused, trying to understand what love is in her own way. I don't know if the little boy who gave her a handkerchief and taught her to be brave in the summer camp still remembers me. Putting the ring on Chirona's finger, Zumu gently embraced Chirona in his arms. Let's go to school. Before you graduate, I will definitely solve those trivial matters abroad. Then, we'll get married after graduation. By then, I will definitely fulfill my ideal and take you around the world. Not just this world, but also the world you were born in, Zumu said, closing his eyes gently. The beauty of the future is emerging before his eyes. Chirona leaned on Zumu's shoulder trustingly, listening to Zumu's promise, satisfied. In fact, she is not a girl who values a sense of ritual. However, life must have a sense of ritual. This is proof that a man is willing to change for the girl he likes. It is also a manifestation of love. Although there were not many witnesses to this proposal, and although it was not a grand scene, it was the most surprising and comfortable proposal for Chirona. Unfortunately, happiness is always short-lived. Just as the young couple embraced each other, an unprecedented war broke out on the border. An elf wearing mechanical armor is sweeping across the border. Chapter 302, Mutwo appears. On the border battlefield, Team Rocket's 4 heavenly kings, Apollo and others looked at Zufeng and his wife arrogantly. Zufeng, aren't you a killing god? Come on, keep going. Where's your Pokémon? Where's the Darkrai? Ha ha ha, a worthless waste. Apollo laughed arrogantly, not giving Zufeng any face. Asshole. Zufeng had almost no fighting power at this time, except for one Meowth. His other 5 Pokémon had all been defeated by this armored monster created by Team Rocket. Cursing in a low voice, Zufeng had to hold on in front of tens of thousands of trainers in the post-civilization world. He couldn't fall. Once Zufeng fell, the whole world would be over. Now, Zumu has not grown up yet, and everything depends on him. If Zufeng falls, the Rockets will enter the post-civilization world. What will come will probably be a catastrophe. Meowth, please. Greninja and the others have already fallen, and Zumu placed his last hope on Meowth. Meow Meow growled in a low voice. This guy is simply a monster. This armor hides his appearance and strength. Meow Meow doesn't even know what level his opponent's strength is. How to fight. Meow. However, if he can't fight anymore, he can only go up now. After a flash of lightning, Meow Meow almost didn't hesitate, and swung wildly. Unfortunately, he didn't even have the qualifications to touch the armored elf. He was directly controlled by a powerful superpower, and then fell heavily to the ground. Bang! A loud bang. Meow Meow's body smashed a big hole in the ground. Zufeng gritted his teeth and looked at Meow Meow with heartache. Across the way, more than 100,000 members of the Rocket team laughed crazily. Behind him was his home, and the trainers of tens of thousands of post-civilization worlds. He couldn't lose. Meow Meow, stand up. Zufeng roared. His eyes were already wet. Dayu stood beside him and gently held Zufeng's arm with her hand. There was no other meaning. What Dayu wanted to express was very simple. That is, if you die, I will accompany you. Fighting is always cruel, and life and death is the current situation. The day Dayu came to the border to find him, she had actually prepared for this mentally. It's just, she didn't have time to see Zumu get married. She couldn't see Zumu and Chirona's baby. Dayu, I'm incompetent. Zufeng sighed softly, although his body was still as tall as a peak. It was obvious that this man was tired. More than 10 years of fighting had made his hair white. If it weren't for Zumu and the family behind him, he couldn't bear it. Carrying the responsibility of the world on his shoulders, Zufeng was about to be bent. It's my incompetence that I didn't give Zumu a few more years. With a self-deprecating smile, Zufeng said unwillingly. Dayu gently stroked his resolute face and shook her head repeatedly. No, you're the best. It's my honor to marry you in this life. Zumu will understand you. Our child is the best genius in the world and the most filial child. The couple hugged each other tightly. Then, Zufeng took a deep breath and raised his head. Team Rocket, it's not impossible for you to come to our post-civilization world. Step over my body. Step over my dead body. It's not just me who's here today. There are tens of thousands of trainers in the Alliance. If you want to come, then kill us all. Otherwise, get out. Behind Zufeng, Tens of thousands of trainers knew that a strong enemy was coming and that they would lose this battle, but no one was afraid, and no one escaped. Fighting to death is an honor. Follow His Highness Zhu Feng to the death, kill all the bandits, and protect my home. Follow His Highness Zhu Feng to the death, kill all the bandits, and protect my home. Shouts rang out from the army, and all trainers were telling Zhu Feng with their own voices, "Your Highness, don't worry, you don't need to look back, we will follow His Highness to the death." Unfortunately, with such momentum, there is indeed a strong military style that is invincible. But there is no way. Who made you unlucky to encounter the secret weapon of our Team Rocket? Apollo sneered. Looking at the Iron Elf, he slowly said, "Mutuo, go ahead and put an end to them." Team Rocket, everyone listen up, attack. Seeing the war coming, seeing Zhu Feng was about to die on the battlefield, finally, a vortex slowly formed at the transmission channel. A boy riding a white bird flew from a distance like lightning. Next to the boy was a girl with golden hair. The two held hands and looked determined. "If you dare to touch anyone in my world, I will destroy your Manchu race." The person who came was Zhu Mu. He roared and found Zhu Feng and Jiayu from the crowd. Then he said with relief, "Dad, Mom, I'm late. I am an unfilial child. Today I will kill all the enemies for you and make amends to you two elders." The words were arrogant, the momentum was overwhelming, and he descended from the sky with domineering power. Zhu Mu, he is here. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 303. Watch me kill everyone. Zhu Mu's eyes were red as he released all the Pokémon except Larilas, Celebi and Hoopa, Greninja, Charizard, Dragonite, Snorlax, King of Leaf, Venusaur, Arceus, Lugia, Flame Chicken, and the 6 god birds. Zhu Mu didn't say any other nonsense. After releasing everyone, he said one word, "Kill." "Kill them all for me." Zhu Mu had never been on a battlefield before, and he didn't even know what the border looked like. It was foggy here, and there was nothing between heaven and earth except a barren continent. Zhu Mu had a gloomy face and didn't care about the weird environment. He stared at Apollo of Team Rocket and shook his neck gently. "You are the one who wants to kill into our world? Are you worthy?" With a light spit, Zhu Mu's eyes shifted from Apollo to the armored Pokémon. Frowning slightly, Zhu Mu exclaimed, "It's you." This armored Pokémon was none other than the legendary clone beast, Mewtwo. Zhu Mu was able to know what happened at the border. In fact, it was still because of the system's tasks. Mewtwo's appearance directly triggered the special task, and Zhu Mu also knew that something happened at the border. Ding! Congratulations to the host for triggering the special task. Go to the border, solve the crisis of parents, and defeat Mewtwo. Task reward: open the copy world, Mewtwo's counterattack. This also led to Zhu Mu's scene of rushing thousands of miles to save his parents. "You know my name?" Mewtwo looked at Zhu Mu and asked with a frown. As we all know, Mewtwo is a problem child. How big is the problem? You have to see how big the world is. Hee. Not only do I know you, I also know all your stories. Zhu Mu chuckled and called the infinite through the necklace. There was no way, except for the infinite. There seemed to be no one else who could fight Mewtwo. Summoned by Zhu Mu from Orion, the infinite smiled happily. "Long time no see, Zhu Mu." Zhu Mu held his forehead and thought about it carefully. It was indeed long enough. Since the incident between Darkrai and Giratina, I haven't seen this girl again. Seeing this, Zhu Mu felt like a scumbag. He called her when he had something to do, but ignored her when he didn't. "Long time no see. Let's have dinner together tonight after we finish our work today." Zhu Mu still made a kind invitation. Even if Shirona was around, there was no way. I couldn't be a scumbag no matter what, right? Fortunately, Shirona was very understanding and didn't care about these. Wu Jitai was delighted and nodded happily. On the other side, Mewtwo was even more confused. "You know all my stories?" It feels like Zhu Mu has seen through you completely, right? Could it be that you know my strengths and weaknesses? But the problem is, I don't know your depth. What's the situation? Is it that my Mewtwo hasn't been in the arena for the past few years, and the atmosphere in the arena has changed? Human, what are you talking about? Can you explain it more clearly? Mewtwo asked again, but Zumew didn't give him an answer. Zumew knows this kind of problem child too well. Judging from Mewtwo's 2 counterattacks, if you want to subdue this guy, the simplest way is to beat him into submission. If you can't beat him, then you don't deserve to reason with him. In fact, Zumew was also wondering at this time, is this Mewtwo the same Mewtwo as the one in the copy world mentioned by the system? If so, then it's boring. As we all know, Mewtwo, like Charizard, has 2 Mega Evolved forms. Generally, the local tyrant players in the game don't make a choice, they just want them all and get both Mewtwo. But the reality is that there is probably only one Mewtwo. Well, let's take it one step at a time. I can't explain it to you too clearly now, but I'll tell you the meaning of your existence and your origins. You won't believe it even if I tell you. So, let's fight first. After the fight, I'll talk to you. Greninja, Bond Evolution, Charizard, Mega Evolution, and Dragonite, Gigantamax plus Divine Elemental. You 3, catch that Apollo. Zumew said, and quickly issued a battle order. At the same time, he signaled to Zufeng beside him that he could order a counterattack. Sometimes, fighting is not just about strength and number of people, but also about momentum. Otherwise, how could there be so many battles in history where the few defeated the many? After Zufeng received it, he didn't doubt it and started to fight directly. My son has spoken, so let's do it. Thinking of when Zumew just became a trainer, I could still be his wing and protect him from wind and rain. Now look at it, Zumew has grown up. He can already stand on his own and help him fight on the border. Zufeng's eyes were filled with tears unconsciously. Alliance trainers, listen up. Everyone, take action now. Follow me to defeat Team Rocket and protect our world. Zufeng's shout was earth-shattering and full of inspiration and righteousness. It directly ignited the morale of the entire army. The counterattack started, and under the leadership of Zumew, everyone began to fight back. Chapter 304 My brother Tiger, go find him and beat him up. Infinite, Gigantamax. Zumew no longer cared about the situation on the side of Apollo and Team Rocket. With his own elves joining the battle, plus Zufeng's experience in battle command, if Mewtwo didn't mess things up, there shouldn't be any big problems. The most urgent task now is to defeat Mewtwo, then, subdue it, and then beat Team Rocket back. Let these invaders taste the pain of being beaten. Got it? Zumew. Infinite nodded, communicated with Zumew's soul, and transformed directly. Gigantamax. The huge body blocked half of the sky, and the Rocket team was amazed. What is this? We finally invited this steel elf here, who can crush the killing god Zufeng in your world. As a result, after a disagreement, 6 divine birds and a Lugia were formed. This is not enough, and they also invited such a dragon. Apart from other things, just looking at the size, this armored elf is not a match. Indeed, although Mewtwo's superpowers are more restrained by Infinite, but Mewtwo was created not long ago, and it is far from being as powerful as the second movie. This led to the fact that after the transformation into the demigod level, the invincible Tana directly began to beat Mewtwo. What kind of monster is this? Who are you? Why can't I beat you? Mewtwo's impotent roar was activated. After being knocked away by the invincible Tana several times in a row, he finally couldn't bear it anymore. He was furious on the spot, and his armor was instantly broken off. Mewtwo gritted his teeth and took off, ready to fight with invincible Tana for another 300 rounds. Zufeng, you will die. Seeing that the situation was not good, Apollo should have retreated with Team Rocket, but thinking that Zufeng no longer had a Pokémon that could fight, he became unwilling. If he could kill Zufeng, it would not be a loss if he failed this time. Commanding his crossband, Apollo completely started the mode of gambling his life. Zufeng was a little worried at first, but he saw Greninja suddenly appear in front of him. He was relieved immediately. Please, Greninja. Cool, it's been a long time since we fought side by side, my lord. Let me show you how much I've grown up with my little master. With a light roar, Greninja excitedly ignited his fighting spirit, and the fire of war flashed in his eyes. Cool, Greninja, am willing to go through fire and water for the Zoo family for generations. and I will do anything for it. The classic lines reappeared. Greninja was wrapped in water all over. Water-style waterfall technique plus surfing. With a small combination of skills, Greninja intercepted the Zbot that wanted to sneak attack from the air. Then, he stood still, with his Sharingan wide open. For no reason, Zbot suddenly felt a sense of pressure. Before Apollo could speak again, Greninja moved. Shadow clone technique plus super large Rasengan Shuriken. He wanted to show Zufeng how much he had grown during this period of time, and to prove his ability to Zoom you. Zufeng saw it. When dozens of Greninja surrounded the crossbat and finally defeated it, Zufeng took a breath of cold air. To be honest, he didn't dare to say that his frog could beat Zoom Yu's frog. Where did these fancy but very powerful skills come from? What's in Zoom Yu's head? Where did these skills come from? I want them too. Now you had completely different ideas from Zufeng, seeing that his kid has finally made it. The Greninja who patted his chest and promised himself to take good care of Zoom Yu has now become a real pillar. Yu is really relieved. I still remember that when we first met, some book friends were still wondering how you could understand the words of the elves. That's right, now I tell you, it was me who dug the pit. That's right. Are you shocked? Are you surprised? Damn. I can make it up while writing. I admire myself. Roar. Frog, stop pretending. Come and help me. Different from giant ninja frogs, Mega's evolved fire dragon encountered a lot of trouble. This guy went up as soon as he was fighting. Sure enough, the spitting dragon shouted like this, and the Koga Ninja frog passed. Cool, just look at it. My brother Tiger, you find me, I find the guys opposite him. In this sentence, the spraying dragon is no psychological burden, and it is like a big brother next door. Zoom Yu's teeth hurt so badly watching this. This Charizard guy just deserves to be punished. Chapter 305 Muto's Confusion. Charizard was so cowardly that it made Zoom Yu's teeth ache. He simply didn't want to look at this bastard. Zoom Yu looked at the other Pokémons. Flame Chicken was a veteran on the battlefield. Although he hadn't returned to the border for a long time, his fighting consciousness and instincts were still there. In fact, there were still many trainers and Pokémons on the battlefield who could recognize him. The leader of the previous generation, the status of Flame Chicken 20 years ago was like that of Zufeng's Meowth now. With that said, everyone understood. Therefore, at this moment, even if he did nothing on the battlefield, it was a kind of encouragement to morale. What's more, Flame Chicken's strength was still there. Although it could not undergo Mega Evolution at present, its strength was still very good, putting it on the battlefield. It was also a killer weapon, wielding a whip kick. Flame Chicken also had a lot of fun killing. Zoom Yu promised that he would take him back to the battlefield again one day. Now, the promise has been fulfilled. Returning to the long-awaited place, Flame Chicken was absolutely unreserved this time. Flame Kick, Gunpowder Charge, Flash Flame Impact, Big Word Explosion, Jet Flame, Ascension Punch. A series of skills were blasted out crazily, facing enemies that were several times larger than him. Flame Chicken became more and more courageous. He didn't even know that he was injured. Zoom Yu looked at this guy and couldn't help but think of Charizard. Damn it, Charizard, can you learn from Flame Chicken? They are all fire-type Pokémon, and you have an extra flying-type Pokémon. Why are you so finished? Go back and practice for me, and let the frog accompany you. Zoom Yu roared. The voice of Greninja followed closely. Cool, little master. I'm not a frog. When Snorlax and Venusaur, the good friends, come to the battlefield, they are definitely a killer. Snorlax's multiplication technique plus meat bomb tank plus rolling. Venusaur's various grass-type ultimate moves. Please don't forget how terrifying the ultimate move of Venusaur, as a rich second-generation Pokémon, is. It's not an exaggeration to say that Venusaur's Chlorophyte Storm is more lethal than Snorlax's rolling. It's just, this guy doesn't fight seriously. He specifically stayed by the side of the female trainer in the league. From time to time, he used a Vine Whip to take advantage of the young lady. It was really speechless. Zoom Yu held his forehead and pretended not to see the embarrassing scene of Venusaur. He continued to look at the King of Leaf. The King of Leaf was still fierce. After entering the battlefield, this guy almost said nothing and killed everyone. On weekdays, he was a spiritual mentor and was good at fooling people. But now, Once the King of Leaf got serious, Zumu really didn't expect that this guy had such a side. He punched a bunch of Pokémon away. So violent, he tore Team Rocket apart with his bare hands. Wait, was this guy infected by Dragonite? Can violence also be transmitted to each other? It seems that we should let them play less together in the future. It's a bit dangerous. Speaking of Dragonite, Zumu happened to turn around and found that the huge Dragonite was doing something unscrupulous. This guy relied on his own law of heaven and earth plus Gigantamax. He actually started to play the game of stepping on ants unscrupulously, treating the rocket army on the ground as ants. Dragonite crushed them all with 1 foot. How happy, how brutal. Asshole. You pissed me off. Mewtwo has one advantage, that is, he refuses to obey. He has an arrogant and independent personality, and he refuses to obey when encountering things. After removing the iron armor restraints on his body, Mewtwo revealed his true form. That iron armor was specially made for him by Sakaki, and its main function is to temporarily suppress Mewtwo's power, help Mewtwo better control his superpowers. But now, with the blessing of anger, Mewtwo has successfully integrated and controlled these violent superpowers. His whole body exudes a momentum close to the peak of the Supreme. At this moment, Mewtwo's spirit and energy have reached the peak. Infinite. Are you afraid? Zumu saw that Mewtwo's output was all based on roaring, just like some Saiyans. He laughed immediately. Infinite nodded. I'm afraid. What can I do? Zumu. Recently, Infinite has nothing to do on Orion, and he has also read some books about girls. For example, only a little princess who can cry can be pampered. There are also some things like women who act coquettishly have the best life, or the 108 little details to conquer a man. Hearing Zumu's question, Wujitana blurted out that coquettish remark almost subconsciously. Zumu was actually okay. He could accept the little girl's coquettish and joking with him. There was actually nothing wrong with Sirona. After all, Wujitana was an elf, and a little girl about the same age as Serena. It was acceptable. The one who was mainly upset by Wujitana's words was Mewtwo. Damn it. I'm already in full strength. What do you mean by this? Are you so scared? Are you insulting me? Haha. Girl, why are you talking like a frog? This is not very harmful, but it is extremely insulting. Can Mewtwo bear it? Zumu saw that Mewtwo was even more angry, and immediately understood that this was a case of the speaker not meaning it, but the listener taking it seriously. Will that work? As a member of the old Zoan, Zumu must go up and finish it off. Mewtwo, are you polite? Chapter 306. If you can't beat them, join them. Mewtwo lost his temper and attacked the Infinite with a mad attack, wave missiles, shadow balls, and psychic power. A string of skills were thrown out without cost, but it was useless. Infinite was stronger than Mewtwo not only on paper, but also with a shameless trainer. In the past, Zumu was indeed a trainer on paper, that is, he was good at commanding, but was particularly bad in actual combat. But now, it's different. After a year of fighting, Zumu is no longer the Zumu of the past, commanding demigods to fight. For Zumu, the pressure is not great, and he can handle it easily. This is hard for Mewtwo. Mewtwo has always been a smooth child, and has never encountered any setbacks since birth. Even Sakaki mainly coaxed this guy. Use a deceptive way to let him wear armor, and then gradually brainwash Mewtwo. It's a pity that elves with strong superpowers are naturally very meticulous. Although Mewtwo is innocent, he is not stupid, and he has always kept an eye on Sakaki. Until today, he was sure that he was the strongest fighting force around Sakaki, and no one or elf in the Rocket team could defeat him. He finally let down all his defenses and prepared to defect. But what the hell is this? Speechlessly looking at Zumu and Wujitai, Mewtwo was once again repelled by Wujitai's fatal needle. Standing there in frustration, Mewtwo had an urge to cry. I can't afford to play. I definitely can't afford to play. No, the script is not written like this. What about I said I am the strongest elf? What about I said I was invincible when I was born? Sakaki, explain to me, what the hell is going on? Finally, after experiencing Zumu and Wujitai's inhumane teachings, Mewtwo understood. The current situation is very simple. That is to put down your arrogance, bow your head, and accept life. because resistance will not work. Arrogance can only be exchanged for fists. If you want to live well, then it's very simple, just be obedient. Human, tell me, what do you want? Looking at Zumu, Muto spoke helplessly. I surrender to you, good brother. You say, I do, I will listen to you. Okay, sit back first, don't run around. Wujitana is watching you. I'll go check this side. I'll talk about your business after the battle. Muto, let Muto sit down honestly. Zumu said that he was busy now, instructing Wujitana to watch Muto and not let this guy run around. Zumu came to the center of the battlefield. Ah, yes, he was still riding Lugia, and Shirona was also on Lugia's back. Lugia may not be able to escape the exclusive status of the royal mount. Greninja, what are you dawdling about? Hurry up, catch that Apollo for me. Charizard, go back and see me arrange it for you. Bastard, Flame Chicken is besieged by so many Pokémon, and you don't go to help. Zumu, who was commanding, suddenly saw that Snorlax seemed to be injured not far away. It was a commander. This guy took advantage of Snorlax's large area rolling attack and suddenly attacked from a blind spot behind. He cut a huge gash on Snorlax's back. Blood was flowing. If left alone, Snorlax might soon be in danger of his life. This level of bleeding cannot be recovered by the self-healing ability of the Pokémon itself. Zumu hurried over. Bulbasaur, protect Snorlax and buy us some time. Dragonite, leave King, come and help Bulbasaur. After calling the 3 Pokémon closest to him for cover, Zumu released Celebi. Fortunately, she was there, otherwise Zumu would have been really panicked. Celebi, please. Zumu, sweating profusely, looked at Snorlax who was groaning in pain. He grabbed his ears with heartache and rubbed his big head. Idiot, I've told you before that the battlefield is not a battle. You must be careful here and don't be careless. Zumu said earnestly, and Snorlax also knew that he was a little bit drifting just now, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to be attacked by a commander. Snorlax cried weakly, puffing his mouth in grievance. It hurts so much. Zumu, just stop talking. Zumu seemed to have heard Snorlax's thoughts, smiled and didn't continue to criticize this guy. In fact, sometimes Charizard's personality is really good. Don't worry about him having any big problems. Don't worry about him dying. Look at Snorlax, all he does every day is bragging and eating. When it comes to bragging, he is more excited than anyone else. Now, he has capsized in the gutter. Rabbi Celebi waved his little hand tiredly, indicated to Zumu that Snorlax is no longer a problem. Thank you, Celebi. Snorlax, thank you benefactor. Snorlax will never forget your kindness today. Snorlax raised his head with great effort, holding his belly, and made a serious promise. Zumu was so angry at the silly look of this guy that he burst into laughter. Chapter 307, Capture Apollo Alive. Calming is convinced. Charizard, I have a task for you. Just now, a commander of the Splitting Sword was set up by Snorlax. Before the battle is over, if you can find that commander of the Splitting Sword, I will forgive your lazy behavior today. Otherwise, you have to think it over carefully. Zumu called Charizard and without saying anything, he directly assigned him a mandatory task. Roar, Snorlax was stabbed by someone? I told you, this kid's dog stomach can't hold 2 tails of sesame oil. A bottle is less than half a bottle, and sooner or later something will happen. Commander of the Splitting Sword, right? I get it, Charizard said with the look of an old gentleman, although his tone was a little cold. But he was not slow in action. Snorlax was set up by someone. It's so embarrassing. If the fat frogs knew about this, they would be so angry. This prodigal little fat guy really makes long worry. No, that commander of the Splitting Sword is also the case. He is really asking for trouble and lighting a light in the toilet. He is looking for death. With a sneer, Charizard called Arceus from a distance. Roar, brother, help me find it. There is a commander in here. This kid was stabbed by the fat guy. I will teach him a lesson and let him know what the real society is. What is Arceus? It is an almighty alpaca. Timely rain on the battlefield. Medical kit. Radar. Okay. Nodding. Arceus also knew the seriousness of the matter. Without saying anything, he started scanning. In less than 30 seconds, he found the location of the commander. It's at that person named Apollo, And this slash commander seems to be his elf. Hearing what Arceus said, Charizard laughed. Good guy, it's really a narrow road for enemies. You just ordered to capture you, but I haven't done anything yet, and you came here by yourself? How can I let you go? With a roar, Charizard went up. Commander Chop, Wrench, attack that Charizard. Apollo was no scum. Seeing that Charizard was about to attack him, he quickly sent Commander Chop to intercept it. At the same time, he continued to let his double-axe War Dragon confront Greninja. Roar, Frog, leave this guy to me, you go fight someone else. Charizard looked at Commander Chop, and then at double-axe War Dragon not far away. After some discussion, he decided to do something big. Greninja was a little confused when he saw Charizard suddenly take the initiative. Is this still our red lizard? Cool. If you are controlled by someone, just blink. No, red lizard, let me ask you, where did you get that old wound on your butt? After thinking about it, Greninja decided to ask a small question to test Charizard's authenticity. Charizard was stunned. What's the matter? You still don't believe me? Roar. Where else can it be? The Charizard Valley was burned by those female Charizards you attracted! Exclamation mark with a venting roar. Charizard pushed Greninja away in dissatisfaction. Looking at Apollo's two elves, he slowly smiled. Roar. Remember, be a good person in your next life. Commander Slash and Double-Axe War Dragon were a little confused, not quite understanding what Charizard was saying here. The next second, a purple fire dragon gradually took shape in the air, and it exuded a strong power. At this moment, Apollo was panicking. Boom. The evil flame dragon fell to the ground. Commander Slash only suffered the aftermath of the attack and completely lost consciousness, and Double-Axe War Dragon completely withstood a whole evil flame dragon, and was directly burned to ashes. Charizard had used Dragon Dance 6 times before the battle, waiting for the right opportunity. Sure enough, didn't it come in handy? Apollo really didn't expect that in just one round, his two main forces were gone. Pointing at Charizard, Apollo was surprised and didn't know what to say. Roar. If you don't say anything, I almost forgot it. With Commander Slash in one hand, Charizard flew directly to Apollo and grabbed his neck with the other hand. Take them away together. Seeing the powerful Charizard, Greninja was extremely satisfied. As expected, it has to be the little master. It's really not easy to make this guy full of energy. Shaking his head, Greninja continued to look for opponents to fight. After finally returning to the border, Greninja had already decided that he would have a good fight this time. Before, he was only at the Heavenly King level and was bullied a lot here. Now, Greninja has returned as a king. All of you, get down for me! Exclamation mark roar. I'm back. I brought this guy back. Charizard hurried back to Zumu to ask for credit, and smiled happily. You did a good job this time. Zumu didn't expect Charizard to be so efficient. The training of Mewtwo here hasn't been completed yet, and Apollo has been caught. Snorlax, I'll leave this Slash commander to you. Don't embarrass yourself again. As for this Apollo, take him back and interrogate him carefully. I think you can dig out a lot of useful things, Zumu said, and set his sights on Mewtwo. Come on, kid, it's your turn. Chapter 308. Mewtwo's counterattack begins. Mewtwo looked at Zumu with horror. Is he going to be taught a lesson? Zumu smiled, and this smile was full of warmth and peace. Everyone who understands this aspect will understand. Fake smile genius Mew. Seeing Apollo being killed by Charizard, Zufeng also decisively regained his manliness. Although it is a bit inappropriate to rely on his son to pretend. Who is Zufeng, and does he have an ordinary face? No matter what I rely on to stand up, in one word, I must not fall behind in pretending. I must pretend to be complete. Team Rocket is collapsed. Everyone follow me. Cut down these bastards. Zufeng, who was reckless, really deserved to be a veteran on the battlefield. With a shout, he started to lead the army to charge. Fortunately, Flammel and Greninja were sensible and followed Zufeng in time to protect this guy from being killed by a sneak attack. The battle was decided, and the members of Team Rocket ran back to the transmission channel back to their own world at almost the speed of birth. It's a pity that trainers in the post-Pokémon civilization world can't use this transmission channel, otherwise, Zumu would definitely complete this feat of killing his way into the Pokémon world and annihilating Team Rocket in one fell swoop today. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully contacting the border crisis, now rewarding the host to open the dungeon world. Mewtwo's counterattack. Please prepare within 10 minutes and collect all the Pokémon into the Pokeball. The last sentence of the system was obviously meant to be meaningful. It was a secret reminder to Zumu that you should forget about cheating Pokémon like Inoue and Giratina. In the dungeon world, the system has the final say. After Zumu understood, he was immediately filled with emotion. Dog system, you are no longer that innocent little system. I still remember that when you were a child, you would not talk back when I scolded you. Now that you have grown up and can open dungeons, have you learned to secretly dig holes for your host? Zumu pouted and didn't say much. After all, this was a purely warm reward from the system, so how could he refuse? Zumu didn't capture both of Charizard's 2 Mega Evolutions to complete the X and Y forms. He was counting on Mewtwo to make up for this regret. The system gave him the opportunity to capture both Mewtwo. Just turn a blind eye to this little pitfall and forgive the dog system. The most urgent thing now is to quickly trick this Mewtwo and make it his own combat force. Otherwise, when he arrives in the copy world, he really has no chance to fight the other Mewtwo head-on except Hoopa. Moreover, the copy world over there should just go through the process of the plot. Who knows what kind of lost protagonist he will meet at that time. That would be interesting. So, looking at the frightened and helpless little Mewtwo in front of him, Zumu laughed unscrupulously. This guy seems to be different from the one in the movie version. He is not so rebellious yet, and is considered a good kid. Maybe Sakaki's brainwashing method is different. Sakaki in this world has almost ruled the elf world. Naturally, he doesn't desire and need the power of Mewtwo so much. So when fooling Mewtwo, it was more of a gentle spiritual counseling. There was no direct sarcasm or indoctrination. This also made it convenient for Zumu. You know, you are not alone. You always ask, who are you? The meaning of your existence. Sakaki should have told you. I tell you, what he said is true and false. You need to judge it yourself. Like, he wants you to attack us. Do you think this is right? Zumu persuaded and persuaded, from the shallow to the deep, constantly invading Mewtwo's psychological defense line, with special powers such as the power of Super Conquer and the power of Chainpan. Every word of Zumu is so reasonable. It sounds so pleasant. Mewtwo nodded subconsciously, but soon shook his head to remind himself to pay attention to his identity. I am Mewtwo. This is an enemy. I can't believe what he said. Wait, I'm going to take you to another place. There is another one of your kind, or he is also you. Do you want to go and see? After Zumu said this, Mewtwo reacted strongly. The loneliness he had felt since childhood had made him eager to find a companion. He was excited to hear that there was another self in the world. However, he was also calm. Are there any conditions? Is the one you are taking me to see also a replica? My replica? Zumu shook his head. No, it's not your replica. He is also called Mewtwo. You can understand that he is another you, but you were born in different worlds. Zumu didn't waste words after saying that. There is no good without a reason in the world. If he took Mewtwo to find a similar person for no reason, Mewtwo himself didn't believe it. It would be better to be clear and put forward the conditions directly. I need you to listen to my command temporarily in that world and defeat the other you head on. I want to save him from that world. This requires your cooperation. Are you willing? As for whether what I said is true or not, you will know it naturally when you go there, right? Chapter 309. To Mewtwo face to face. Are you sure? Mewtwo was still confused, a little bit unsure whether to listen to Zumu's words. However, Mewtwo was still looking forward to this other self that Zumu was talking about. He had never seen his own kind since he was born, and he was a lonely existence from beginning to end. Otherwise, he would not have a quirky personality, a weird temper, and even a little irritable. Loneliness made him humble and his personality changed drastically. Of course, I am sure that with your current temper and mentality, you really should go with me. How about I let you see the whole process of your birth to growth? Zumu still smiled harmoniously. This smile was completely different from the devil like him before. Another me? Who am I? Should I go and see? Mewtwo was very entangled, and reason told him not to believe the man in front of him. But reality left him no choice. Forget it. Since he can't beat him, then don't let him do it. Finally, Mewtwo thought for a long time and made up his mind. Okay, I'll go with you, Mewtwo said, taking a deep breath. Zumu snapped his fingers and it was done. This rebellious child needs to be convinced by reason. If reason doesn't work, then force will be used. As he spoke, Zumu began to call the system in his mind. Dog system, get ready. I've packed everything here. Putting Mewtwo in an exquisite Pokeball, Zumu took back his Pokémon. Dad, I'm leaving first. I have something to do. I'll leave it to you later. After greeting Zufeng, Zumu didn't delay. Riding the infinite, he took Shirona and left the secret realm quickly. When we go to the dungeon world later, we definitely can't take Shirona with us. You go back to Western Europe and wait for me first. I'll go back later. After Zumu finished speaking, he disappeared from the spot with a swish. Shirona was confused. The same goes for Infinite. The dungeon world is a special world where the plot of the theater will be replayed. As the first dungeon world to experience, Mewtwo's counterattack will greatly reduce the difficulty. At the same time, there will be many friendly reminders to the host. Please pay attention to receiving system messages. The system played a human role again, gave Zumu some small tips, and then put him into the dungeon world. Feeling dizzy, Zumu shook his head, and after regaining consciousness, he began to observe his current location. New Island. This is the place where Mewtwo will be born. Mewtwo, come and see another you. Zumu released Mewtwo and pointed to the laboratory not far away with a smile. The moment Mewtwo appeared, it almost subconsciously locked onto the familiar superpowers in the laboratory. Who are you? Mewtwo in the laboratory felt the mental power of Zumu's Mewtwo and was shocked at the time. He burst into huge emotional fluctuations and tried to talk to Mewtwo. Mewtwo was also confused. Who am I? I am you. You are playing a joke on us. It's really another me. Isn't this the place where I was a child? How can you bring me here? Did you travel through time? Mewtwo looked at Zumu in astonishment, not quite sure about his current situation. Zumu shook his head. It's not time, it's another world. Don't get in touch with him. Watch slowly and feel the change process of the other you. His growth experience may be very different from yours. Zumu said, using his own superpowers to intercept the superpowers of the little Mewtwo in the laboratory. This guy is still young now, and can only communicate with the human little girl. Little Mewtwo has no way to deal with someone like Zumu who has some special abilities at this stage. Are you sure? Although Mewtwo wanted to communicate with another self, he actually knew that this guy was too small. Broken road. Drive carefully. Too small to withstand his superpowers. It's better to wait and see what happens. Zumu is right. So, although he expressed some doubts, he still agreed. Doubts are just subconscious defenses against Zumu. I'm sure. Let's go. Let's go around this world now. Zumu came to the dungeon world for the first time, so naturally he had to take a good walk and see what was going on here. Is it really the entire Pokémon world? Mewtwo had no objection, so Zumu released Lugia and began to circle around the world. As a result, after walking around like this, Zumu was surprised to find that there was no love. It is worthy of being a copy world, and the plot map in this theater version is really cut out, except for the new island. There is no map at all. The edge here is just a foggy area, and there is no city or other map at all. It's amazing. System, you are too easy. Zumu complained helplessly, and the system suddenly came alive. Ding. The host can turn on the viewing mode and fast-forward the plot. The system is still very smart and expressed dissatisfaction with Zumu's complaints. Directly counterattack. Zumu was speechless at the time. Okay, you are a mature system now. You can diss the host yourself, right? Exclamation mark. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 310, The Crooked Little Cowman. The plot fast-forwarded, and in a blink of an eye it was 3 years later. Little Mewtwo had gradually matured in the petri dish. The original Mewtwo met a little girl in the petri dish, and finally lost control and destroyed the original plot of the new island. It became very strange here. First of all, because of the appearance of Zumu and Big Mewtwo, Little Mewtwo did not doubt his origin and cause. So, this led to Little Mewtwo having no feelings for this little girl. Instead, he was super curious about the spiritual power that was of the same origin as himself. Who is it? Is it his father, or his mother? With this matter in mind, Little Mewtwo was not interested in anything else until he grew up and was perfectly cultivated. Sent to Sakaki, you are Mewtwo, the strongest Pokémon. The purpose of your existence is to help me conquer the world. Mewtwo, oh, yes, so you have to listen to me now. I am Sakaki, your trainer. Mewtwo, oh, to be honest, Sakaki was a little confused when he saw this scene. After spending such a huge price, our rocket team would not cultivate a fool, right? Can you say anything else? Sakaki looked at Mewtwo in confusion, his heart beating a little. Mewtwo, oh, fuck, are you polite? Sakaki was really stupid. He wanted to ask Dr. Fuji what was going on. It was not clear how strong this Mewtwo was, but now it seemed that this IQ was definitely worrying. This was very unreasonable. Can you understand me? Sakaki was speechless, but he spent so much money to create the world's strongest elf, so he couldn't just give up. So, he definitely struggled again and communicated with Mewtwo again. Huh? What did you say just now? Sorry, I was thinking about something and didn't hear it. Mewtwo shook his head and saw Sakaki wandering in front of him for a long time, and finally found this guy. He asked. Sakaki felt his blood pressure soaring. Resisting the urge to hit the wall, Sakaki said again, I just said that you are Mewtwo, the strongest elf. The purpose of your existence is to help me conquer the world. It was not until then that Mewtwo came back to his senses as if waking up from a dream. Oh, Sakaki, oh, Zumu and Big Mewtwo have been above the new island, observing all this. When they saw Sakaki going crazy, they laughed at the same time. Sure enough, Mewtwo is Mewtwo, as paranoid as ever, but in a different direction. Big Mewtwo almost became autistic because of his stubborn thinking about who he is and why he exists. His temper is getting more and more irritable, even a little extreme. The same is true for Little Mewtwo. He is obsessed with finding Big Mewtwo, which makes him not care about anything except looking for Mewtwo's mental power. This is you, see? Zumu smiled. He didn't expect that the cause and effect of the copy world would actually change because of their appearance. It can be said that Mewtwo's negligence triggered a huge butterfly effect. It almost changed the life trajectory of Little Mewtwo. Fortunately, the premise remains unchanged, and Sakaki has not changed at all. He still arranges Mewtwo with an armor that limits its power, and then tricks Mewtwo into helping him fight. I'm going to kill him. Clenching his fists, Big Mewtwo said fiercely. Seeing Mewtwo fighting for Sakaki in a daze, being treated like a tool, thinking of himself, of course he was furious. Don't worry, there's more to come, just wait and see. Zumu stopped Mewtwo and signaled him to be steady and not mess around. If Mewtwo accidentally discovered it again, the butterfly effect would definitely come again. Okay, gritting his teeth and nodding, Mewtwo looked at Sakaki angrily, looking like he wanted to eat him. The plot continued to advance. After Mewtwo defeated Xiaomao, he finally began to reflect on the meaning of his actions. At the same time, he also learned from Sakaki that he was actually a replica. He mistakenly thought that the superpower at the beginning was actually the appearance of Mew. So, in order to bring out Mew and fulfill his long-cherished wish, he found the source of the superpower. Mewtwo's counterattack began. The plot officially unfolded, and Mewtwo destroyed the armor in anger and then flattened the new island. Controlling Joey, he began to send invitations to lure trainers to come. Then the silly things and others obediently rode the wind and waves to give away their heads. At this point, those who have seen the movie will definitely understand. For those who haven't seen it, it's not too late to watch it now. No more kidding, let me explain. Mewtwo controls the technology that can copy itself on the new island, and at the same time controls Joy to organize some kind of stupid competition, attracting a large number of trainers to come here as to copy their Pokémon, so that they are no longer alone, and the copies can also have a racial expansion. This is also the source of the two Pikachu slapping each other on the internet. Did I do this? Looking at the extremely childish behavior of little Mewtwo, Big Mewtwo touched his nose unconsciously. It's a bit embarrassing. There is a saying that it's not scary to be drunk, but it's scary to have someone help you remember the next day. Now Zumu is taking Mewtwo to see the life he should have had. In other words, how many stupid things Mewtwo will do in the future. Although the worlds are different, Mewtwo with such a personality must have similar ways of doing things. It must be expected that he can do such stupid things. So, now Big Mewtwo is very embarrassed. He even wants to look for cracks in the ground. Maybe that's right, you're not wrong. Zumu smiled, and continued to watch everything from the perspective of a bystander in the air with Mewtwo. The plot was advancing very quickly. Although it was already a 1-to-1 time flow rate here, it didn't take long, so it would naturally feel fast. Seeing a group of replica Pokémon surrounding the trainers, under the command of little Mewtwo, they were about to kill. The original Pokémon finally came out under the leadership of Pikachu's protagonist Halo. For a moment, the two groups of Pokémon stood together. Little Mewtwo looked down on the crowd, with an arrogant look, just like a middle school boy. Mew is here. The little guy mischievously flew around the new island and greeted Zumu with his tail. Then he appeared in front of little Mewtwo. Mew, two big and small Mewtwo exclaimed at the same time. It was really the first time they saw Mewtwo. Compared to the big Mewtwo who had grown a lot at this time, the little Mewtwo was like a reckless person. He was going to take action without saying a word. Mewtwo instinctively resisted. No, you're not the one I'm looking for. Feeling that the superpowers that Mew had exploded were not the same ones he had encountered as a child, Mew was stunned. Is there really more than one me in the world? Did Team Rocket copy two of me? Chapter 311 to Mewtwo, get. At this stage of the story, Zumu and Kalman had no choice but to intervene. When Kalman saw that Mew was not the Pokémon he was looking for, he immediately shut himself up. It was like, I crossed mountains and ceased to see you, but you turned out to be a photo fraud. The sadness of online love was reflected in Kalman to the fullest at this time. Ah, I'm going to kill you. Kalman wanted to kill people at the slightest disagreement. Kalman had completely gone berserk at this time. The silly trainers were at a loss. One Mewtwo was enough. Now there's another one? Question mark. What? Pikachu, who was fighting with copy Pikachu, was also confused. Another one? Is it over? You are. Kalman was shocked when he saw Kalman. Tears flowed in his eyes. Kalman's throat rolled, and he asked tremblingly, You, is it you? Kalman covered his face in embarrassment. This is like a large-scale family recognition scene. Damn, that's right. The superpower that appeared when you were a child was from him. Zumu spoke up and said with finality, the elf you have been looking for is also from him. Seeing that Big Mewtwo was exactly the same as himself, little Mewtwo was dumbfounded. Did Sakaki really copy two of me? Not to mention little Mewtwo, even Sakaki would be autistic if he saw it now. What? Buy one get one free, two Mewtwos for a disagreement? Are they still going to play with the rockets? Just vote. No. We don't belong to this world. Zumu spoke up, looking at little Mewtwo, and said bluntly, the purpose of my coming here is to help you recognize yourself. Pointing at Big Mewtwo, he continued, or help him. The moods of the two Mewtwos at this time are definitely different. Little Mewtwo is angry. Yes, angry. His paranoid personality made him angry after the shock, almost lost his mind. It may also be the system's arrangement to force his intelligence down. It's a dungeon world, it's not important, ha ha ha. As for Big Kalman, it was because of Zumu's advanced guidance, plus some special circumstances. He watched little Kalman's life completely. At this time, his mind was more transparent, not confused at the beginning. Perhaps, the purpose of its existence is not to destroy the world, but he doesn't need to prove anything to the world. It's not that you have the qualification to live only if you have value. A meaningful life is more important than any value. This truth was subtly instilled by Zumu during this period, and it was also Big Kalman's own understanding. This understanding is not far-fetched. If you are given a new look at your life, from the time you were born, from the time you were a seed, then you will have a different feeling. If there is no such opportunity in reality, then you can ask your parents to give you a younger brother or sister. If the third child is open, ask for another one. Then from beginning to end, You can experience the birth and growth of a younger brother or sister. There is absolutely no driving here. If you think wrongly, go play with the mud. Hehe, you just look like me, but you are definitely not me. I am the strongest Pokémon, Mewtwo. Today, whether it is Mew or you, the fake one, you will both die. Little Mewtwo jumped up angrily, and started to mock the whole audience as soon as they disagreed. The cute little Mew scratched his head, shook his tail, and landed beside Mew speechlessly. Great, is there something wrong with this guy? Mew's words hit the point. Mew nodded in agreement and pointed to his head. This is broken and needs to be treated. Mewtwo, go ahead. This is what you promised me. Mew looked at Big Mewtwo and saw that this guy's mentality didn't seem to change, so he felt relieved. To be honest, Pokémon like Mewtwo, with such a rebellious character, it's hard to say what kind of outrageous things they can do. For example, the two of them communicated and suddenly decided to conquer the world together. However, Big Mewtwo shouldn't be so stupid. After all, there is only one new island in this world, and there are no other maps. If they want to conquer the world, they will talk about it after they get out. Okay. Big Mewtwo didn't say anything. He was also curious about who was stronger between this self and the current self. Big Mewtwo launched an attack with a wave of missiles. Little Mewtwo was not at all inferior, although he had almost no combat experience. Before, he helped Sakaki fight, which was just bullying some cats and dogs, and he was also wearing armor to restrict himself. Now that all the constraints were untied, Little Mewtwo really had his first serious fight. Bang! The skills collided, causing a violent explosion. Little Mewtwo could clearly feel at this moment that the opponent's strength should be equal to his. But for some reason, the power of his skills was stronger than his. This was a bit unreasonable. Big Mewtwo also discovered this problem, but he didn't care too much. This is not an advantage. He still knew his inherent combat talent. Little Mewtwo just suffered from the lack of experience at the beginning. After fighting for a while, this guy will be about the same as himself. Now he is like Sun Wukong, who just came down from Ling Taifang Kun Mountain. He has a lot of skills, but no reasonable way to use them. However, he is gifted. He can practice while fighting and soon master all his strength. Bang! 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 A series of collisions occurred in the sky, and two Mewtwo stood together, even leaving after images. The elves on the ground opened their mouths wide in surprise. Is this still a power that elves can master? Mengwen was also very confused. Wow, I don't think I've seen this kind of elf before. Mew nodded and explained to her, this guy is a man-made cloned elf, using your genes. So to be honest, he is also your child. Ha ha ha. Mengwen blushed at Mew's words. Wow, don't joke around. She shyly tapped Mew with her tail, and Mengwen flew aside with a pout. This human is so bad, you can't talk to him too much. It's easy to be deceived. Generally, big liars are like this. Hehe. System, can I subdue Mengwen? Seeing Mengwen so cute, Mew couldn't help but have the idea of subduing her. Ding. Please note that the host is the main body of this copy world, and the other elves cannot be captured. Ding. Congratulations to the host for finding the lost protagonist Zion. Host, please take it away properly and collect it. Mew heard 3 prompts from the system in succession. Suddenly he laughed. Okay, the dog system is really good, and it will give you a buy one get one free deal. Not bad. Just keep it like this, and when this host conquers the entire universe and destroys the god of the system, I will arrange a good god position for you. Don't worry. Chapter 312, You brought me another one? The two Mewtwo started fighting, and Mew didn't care to watch. He stared at Zioxia, who was standing next to Silly Thing not far away, and slowly smiled. Sure enough, the system is not aimless. If it was just to give me a Mewtwo, there would be no need to open this dungeon world. Although I don't know why Zioxia is here. If nothing unexpected happens, I will not be polite with this wave of system rewards. Mew's smile made the NPCs created by the system a little panic, especially Silly Thing and Zhao Gang. They almost subconsciously blocked Zioxia behind them. What are you going to do? They didn't have any good attitude towards Mew, the guy who suddenly appeared, and their words were full of precautions. Zioxia was a little puzzled by the actions of these two people. I don't think he is a bad guy. Wait a minute. Zioxia pouted, pushed Silly Thing and Zhaogang away, and took the initiative to come to Zumu's side. "My name is Zioxia. May I ask who you are?" Following the woman's natural intuition, Xiaomai took the initiative to greet Zumu. Zumu couldn't help but smile when he saw Xiaomai so brave. Indeed, it is undoubtedly Xiaomai who dares to think and do so. As for Xiao and Zhaogang, Zumu said that these NPCs are not worthy of saying a word to him. What qualifications do a group of guys who don't even know their own identities have? Having said that, Xiaomai is really pitiful. In this world, she and Kalman are the only two beings with real personalities. I think it should be extremely lonely. In fact, Zumu thought too little. Xiaomai is not only lonely, but also facing a huge crisis, because this world belongs to a one-time consumption world. That is to say, it is a small world born specifically for Zumu, and the existence here is only enough to deduce the plot once. After Zumu has experienced it, everything here will disappear. Therefore, if Zumu did not find Zioxia, or there was no collection task, then the result is self-evident. Xiaomai may disappear completely in all world planes not long after Zumu left. From then on, there will be no more decisive, rational and somewhat intoxicated beautiful girl Zioxia. Xiaomai can find her swimsuit by herself. If you know, you know. No need to thank me. You should have realized that something is wrong with everything here. Xiaomai is only 10 years old now, and Zumu doesn't know how long she has lived in this small world. Have you noticed anything? I have been here for 3 days, but everything here seems to be different from what I knew before. Zia said that she was confused. The Silly Thing is still the Silly Thing. Zhaogang is still the Zhaogang. Even Pikachu seems to be no different. But I don't know why. I am confused. It seems that there is always a voice telling her that this is not the world she lived in before. It seems that you have discovered it. Zumu nodded and slowly explained, everything here can be understood as a projection. Everything in this world is not real. You can understand that they are all virtual products. And the reason why you came here may be because of some special encounters. Think about it carefully. Zumu's words made Zia fall into deep thought. Thinking carefully, she suddenly slapped her thigh. The girl's delicacy and the sound of slapping can't help but make people's souls tremble. I know, Zioxia said excitedly. When I was traveling with Zioxia before, I suddenly fell into an inexplicable vortex. I appeared here when I woke up. I was curious why I came to participate in this competition. It turns out that I am no longer in the previous world. Zioxia suddenly realized. Zumu also learned a lot of inside information through her words. It seems that in the elf world, these protagonists all exist, but for some reason, they are taken to various worlds in various bizarre ways. Come with me. I will take you back to my world. My fiancé is the same as you. We all come from the same place. And Serena also left your own world inexplicably. I am trying to take them back. Zumu didn't waste words. Zioxia was not an idiot. Since she already knew the truth, it was inevitable to leave with him. Apart from anything else, if Zumu was a bad guy, Zioxia could only pinch her nose and accept it. After all, she had no way to get out of here now, and Zumu was the only straw to save her life. Okay. Zioxia nodded gently and said no more. Completely ignoring the NPCs behind him, Zioxia stood decisively beside Zumu. The battle between Mutuo and Mutuo soon came to an end, because Zumu intervened. When a trainer who had commanded a demigod-level battle intervened in the battle between two Pokémon, it was obvious who would win and who would lose. Without Zumu as the brain and center, the little Mutuo was quickly defeated by the big Mutuo. Come with me. I will take you away from here, take you to find the truth of life and the meaning of your existence. At least, you and I have a common enemy now. That is Team Rocket, right? Zumu's words were layered and pressed step by step, directly breaking through the psychological defenses of the two Mutuo. There were no surprises, no worries. Both Mutuo were conquered by Zumu and taken away. Zumu smiled with satisfaction, and thought of something, and said, Super Group, are your new names. How about it? In order to distinguish them, Zumu decided to give the two Mutuo some names. The guy from the elf world who appeared first was called Kefan. He had a bad temper but a clear mind. The Mutuo in the dungeon world was called Keku. The environment in which this little guy grew up determined his somewhat cold personality. The two Mutuo looked at each other, feeling helpless and unwilling to accept. However, none of this mattered. What mattered was the moment when Zumu subdued Mutuo and took Zioxia away from the dungeon world. Shirona was stunned. "Why did you bring another one back?" Zumu coughed dryly and lowered his head a little embarrassedly, pulling Shirona to his side. Zumu whispered, "She is also a child of your world, just like Serena, and can't go back now." Shirona took a deep breath and forced herself to calm down. "She is still young, just like Serena. She is not yet an adult. I can't think too much, I can't be jealous, I can't misunderstand Zumu. Well, to be a qualified and good wife, I will help him take some children home. But why are they all such cute girls? Woo woo woo, I feel so wronged." Chapter 313 I'm already a demigod, but I still have to go to school. Elf, Mutuo, Attribute, Psychic, Strength, Supreme Peak. Features, Sense of Oppression. Skills, Psychic Break, Psychic Power, Psychic Blade, Wave Missile, Psychic Power, Pursuit, Predict the Future, Healing Wish, Sign-in Task, Carry or use Mutuo to fight in a secret realm. Mutuo Mega Evolution Stone X, Mutuo Mega Evolution Stone Y. This is the relevant information and data of the two Mutuo. After Zumu saw the specific sign-in task on the system panel, he was stunned. Secret Realm. Ah, is there a secret realm for me to go to now? However, thinking that he was about to go to the Magic City Academy, Zumu calmed down. Normal heart. The days to come will be extremely comfortable. The era of pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger is coming. Zumu did not realize that he is now a qualified celebrity, especially this time at the border. He bravely appeared and saved tens of thousands of soldiers. But in just a few days, it was widely publicized by various media in the East and West. It was said before that the 16-year-old Zumu was the spiritual pillar of the future of this world. But it's different now, when Zumu is really engaged to Serona, and he is also the grandson of the Chief of the East. These two identities are made public, and the rough estimate of his current strength. People now sincerely believe that Zumu may not be the pillar of the future. This kid has the ability to save the world now. Right? Of course, Zumu, who is in the public opinion, doesn't know these things at all. He is now living comfortably with Serona in his own world of two. Zioxia and Serena, the two girls, have long been arranged by Serona to go to school. How can children not go to school? After completing the procedures for the two girls and proving that they are indeed qualified to hold elves, Zumu and Serona did not interfere too much in their current lives. I don't know how long it will take to fight back to the elf world. Now the post-elf civilization world still cannot enter the elf world by other means, so Zumu is not in a hurry to cultivate intimacy. It is more important to take advantage of the calm before school starts and enjoy a peaceful life with Serona. As for the details of life, how to say this, except for what they shouldn't do, these two shameless young people did everything they should do. Don't get me wrong, although Zumu is an old pervert, he still has a little bit of male chauvinism. He respects Serona's ideas very much, and he sincerely agrees that both parties will be honest with each other on their wedding night. So, those who understand. Don't say that the author is teasing, mainly if something really happens. You may not be able to see this book. Congratulations to the host for completing the Charizard sign-in task. Go to the copy world Mutuo's counterattack, carry or use Charizard to participate in a battle. The inheritance of the God of Fires are on the day of completing the task. The system's reward was issued. This time the system seems to be serious, not like before. It just perfunctorily gets things done. The inheritance of the God of Fires are on. This seemingly unimpressive reward, maybe the most awesome reward Zumu has received so far. No one else. Because of this inheritance, the Charizard, who was already in the early stage of the head, fell into a sleeping state. And after this task, Charizard will no longer have a sign-in task. In other words, the system has completely raised his growth potential to the max. Zumu also asked when Charizard would be able to complete the inheritance and wake up. The system's reply is very interesting. When it's time to wake up, Charizard will naturally wake up. Please rest assured, the system will follow up the inheritance process of Charizard throughout the whole process, and there will be no danger. If it is convenient for the host, Charizard can be allowed to sleep in the Charizard Valley, which will be more helpful for the absorption of inheritance. Zumu had no choice but to let the old Charizard sleep deeply in the Charizard Valley, not knowing when he would complete the inheritance and wake up. Worried that Charizard would have an accident, Zumu decided to let Snorlax and Bulbasaur stay there to protect him, although he usually said he disliked it. In fact, Zumu and Charizard had a deep bond. In addition to the frog, I'm afraid it was this red lizard that made Zumu most worried. In addition to being shameless and calm with Sirona, Zumu did some serious work these days. For example, he visited the 7 ants and formally brought Sirona to meet them. When he had time, he went to the border and left the 6 divine birds there to temporarily ensure the safety of the border. It was considered to be guarding the border on behalf of Zumu. Of course, if he simply left these 6 guys there, Zumu would definitely not be at ease. So, after the recommendation of Greninja, the good friends King and Dragonite also stayed at the border. If there is any problem, Dragonite can fly back in time to communicate with Zumu. So far, Zumu currently has Greninja at the beginning of the leader, Lugia and Arceus at the beginning of the master, Blaziken at the peak of the leader, and Hoopa at the peak of the master. I don't even know what my Hoopa's strength is. Master peak. Do you believe it? There are also Celebi and Loris, 2 little guys with very weak combat power, and 2 Mewtwo. By the way, Zioxia's intimacy has improved because of meeting Serena and Zumu's reasonable arrangement. At present, it is as follows. Current collection progress, Zioxia, intimacy % 50, Zioxia intimacy progress reward, 10%, Snorlax's combat power is increased to the early stage of the leader, 50%, Bulbasaur's combat power is increased to the early stage of the leader, 80%, Lugia's combat power is increased to the early stage of the leader, 100%. The host obtains the body of Water Soul. The affinity for water elements is increased to 100%, so at present, the strength of Snorlax, Bulbasaur, and Dragonite is all in the early stage of the leader. Without transforming, they are at the same level as Greninja and Charizard. So far, the general situation of Zumu's team has been explained to the big guys. It is recommended to keep a bookmark. The day of school is approaching. Zumu and Shyarona sit on Lugia and prepare to go to Magic City College. Why do you have to go to school? You are so happy? Shyarona didn't understand the smile on Zumu's face and asked in confusion. Zumu raised his head proudly. He said very proudly, "Don't you know that school is the happiest place? There are all new trainers there. When we go back, we can pretend to be pigs and eat tigers, pretend to be a fool and get slapped in the face." To be honest, Shyrona's eyes at that time were as caring as looking at a fool. Do you really think that your classmates are all on 2G network? Chapter 314, Welcome Ceremony. This is called Face. After packing up everything, Zumu and Shyrona came to the Magic City College. The busy life before is over, and now we have to face the beautiful life in the college, although there are still a lot of things outside that seem to be waiting for Zumu to deal with. But now, he just wants to live a few days of ordinary life and enjoy the slow pace of the campus. Of course, except for military training. How slow campus life is, I believe everyone has a deep understanding. High school students don't count. They are worse than dogs. In the college, you have a few classes every day, and as long as you don't have any ambitions and want to be a superior person, you can be comfortable. The premise is that you can't meet the so-called seniors. If you don't understand this talk, explain it in the comment area. Anyway, Zumu didn't think about being glorious, let alone being a student leader. Coming here, Zumu didn't have much to say, just living peacefully is good. Boom boom boom. Holding Shyrona's little hand and entering the campus, Zumu was stunned. The scene in front of him was not to say that there were huge crowds of people, but at least there were loud drums and firecrackers. Let's warmly welcome our new classmate Zumu, Venerable Yoon. The loudspeaker was not ambiguous at all. While Zumu was confused, He started talking about business directly through the speaker. What was the business? A welcome ceremony. All the students of the entire Magic City Academy were arranged in place, one by one, and the teachers could not be left behind. They all had to be present to give Zoomu face. At this time, you may ask, is Zoomu, a student, worthy of such a big face? Look at it this way. Who is Zoomu? In terms of strength, he is not inferior to any teacher or professor in the academy. In terms of fame, he is even more unparalleled. As for qualifications, haha, he has experienced the 3 sacred clouds and the border war, as well as the hunter organization before. In terms of qualifications, Zoomu can look at the whole world and say that there are few who can be higher than him. But there is no need to make such a big scene, right? Zoomu had a bitter face and looked helpless. What about the campus life you promised, pretending to be cool and getting slapped in the face? Isn't this directly turning into a female villain, a second-generation rich man descended from heaven? I was welcomed by the whole school when I traveled through time and space. Will there be another school beauty crying and running over to ask her family to take responsibility? What are you still standing there for? Your aunt is calling you. Seeing Zulu waving at them, Shirona quickly pulled the stunned Zoomu and reminded him not to lose his composure. Zoomu finally reacted. Ah, okay. After agreeing, Zoomu saw his aunt Zulu and Dean Li Lun waving on the stage with a smile, signaling them to come over quickly. When he came to the stage, Zoomu was numb, looking at the dark audience below, a group of freshmen like him, and a group of old students. This is not the right way for me to start my college life. Teachers, classmates, hello, everyone, I am Zoomu. Although he complained, his actions were still very honest. As the king of comparison, since he can't enjoy playing the pig and eating the tiger, he should show off his talent. Life is like that. If you can't resist, you can only enjoy it. After all, Brother Wang's law of true fragrance is not a boast. Enjoying the applause and admiration from the audience, Zoomu was indifferent. It doesn't matter. No matter how you pretend, it's still pretending. Since the school has arranged it, just accept it calmly. Isn't it just a speech? Is there a problem? No problem. Soon, Zoomu found the rhythm and began to talk on the stage, sharing his successful experience. At the same time, he cheered up the seniors and juniors, saying something about spiritual chicken soup, that hard work must be rewarded. This kid is good at this. How about we train him to be a special lecturer? Li Lun looked at Zoomu and smiled with satisfaction. As a scholar, he always thinks about maximizing benefits. It should be called making the best use of talents. This is my nephew. What are you going to do? Zulu naturally protected Zoomu. Just kidding. There is only one male in our zoo family in this generation. You want Zoomu to be your lecturer and help you make money? Dream on. If you are short of money, can't my fourth sister just let a little money slip out from between her fingers? Thinking about it, Zulu suddenly had an idea. Yes, the fourth sister has donated a stadium to the eldest sister's Zion Yang College. Shouldn't we also have a library? Then I will be one step closer to the vice president. After making up her mind, Zulu went back to call the fourth sister at night and smiled happily. Her smile can be described as 100 flowers blooming in all colors. All the male compatriots who saw it were shocked. It turns out that there are really fairies in the world. Back on the stage, Zoomu was still sharing his success story incessantly. My experience is unrepeatable. To achieve so many achievements in 1 year, I have put in so much effort, you can't imagine it. Genius often requires 99% sweat and 1% inspiration, so what you need to see is not how glamorous this person is, but the sweat he puts in behind the scenes. People who are better than you work harder than you. Do you feel bad? Are you jealous? What should be said is that in terms of success lectures and Versailles masters, Zoomu is definitely the king. After an hour-long solo, the teachers and students of the whole school applauded like they were injected with chicken blood. It was so good. I never knew that the pillar of the future in our eyes has also experienced so much suffering. Yes, we are all looking at Zoomu's scenery and ignoring the sweat behind him. Don't be discouraged, classmates. We are still young. We have a bright future. We have a bright future. Yes, Zoomu said, this is the best era. Troubled times make heroes. We have endless opportunities. Come on, from today on, I will definitely lie in the training hall and not go out. The one who just said to go to the training hall, take me with you. I will go to class in the morning, go to the training hall in the afternoon, and then go to the library to study theoretical knowledge in the evening. Oh my God, you think the same as I do. Let's go together. This era is ours. Looking at the classmates who were so excited, Zumu smiled slowly. Indeed, he didn't lie. The future is yours. But now it's mine. Work hard, children. The gap between you and me, in addition to objective factors such as family background and luck, the most important point is that you are not a time traveler. There is no Dogecoin system. Ha 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 ha. Chapter 315 Military Training begins. The first hurdle of college life is military training. Needless to say, all students who come here have to go through the baptism of military training. These children who are treated as babies at home have to transform and grow through the baptism and tempering of military training. Some people ask why military training is so tiring and so hard. Why are the counselors and seniors always watching us like terrifying cow-headed and horse-faced monsters during military training? Why are the instructors so strict and the school attaches so much importance to military training? No other reason, because this is the first lesson for students to become adults. College is a small society, where you have to learn not only knowledge, but also how to behave in the world and respect the elders and the young. If you don't study in college, it will be too late when you get to society. In fact, the truth is very simple. Everyone understands it, but they are unwilling to accept it. After all, no one likes to be reasoned. Even if they know that these words are correct, no one will like them. So, let's talk about what everyone likes. Student Zumu, as an excellent commander on the battlefield, you will be a student representative in the next 21 days of military training and participate in the management of the college. Before arriving at the dormitory, Zumu received a notice from Leilun. The meaning is very simple. Zumu, you are too famous. We are too small to let you accept military training and lose face. This is the son of hope in the world. Zumu should have the domineering attitude of sweeping all the way, being invincible, and who else but me. As the leader of the whole world, it is better for Zumu not to go through the process of military training to polish his spirit. As for Sirona, I am sorry. Magic City College is a world-famous top college. It is unprecedented to set this precedent for Zumu, the daughter of the chief. I am sorry, I am not qualified. Okay, then what should I do? Zumu didn't care. He just made the best of it and listened to the arrangements. It's just that he didn't know what the use of his student representative was. It's very simple. With your current status, the instructors in charge of our military training this time are not as good as you. So you can be a consultant. This is easy to understand. It means that you can do whatever you want without affecting the normal progress of military training. After Leilun said this, Zumu understood. Just a slacker? Do you just want to stroll around when you have nothing to do all day? Okay, then I really like it. Before, Kyle forced him to move forward. In order to marry Sirona, Zumu was also exhausted for a long time. You are tired for a long time? Isn't it all the effort of the system? Now everything is done, and I don't know when the rest will be done. It's just right to take a break and experience what a comfortable daily life is. Okay, I know. Nodding in agreement, Zumu took Sirona to find a dormitory. One more thing, because of the identity and the awesomeness of the highest institution of learning, the student dormitories here are not the same as what everyone usually knows. Basically, there are two types, one island, the common teaching building, and the other is the villa area. The people living in the villa area are not some rich second-generation young men, but real academic masters and geniuses. Zumu is naturally no exception. He and Sirona were directly assigned to a villa. Obviously, the teacher in charge of assigning dormitories has some relationship with Zulu. In order to continue the incense of the Zoo family, Zulu also fought hard. Drive the luggage back to the dormitory, which is apartment 212. Zumu and Sirona started to clean up. It must be said that this new house is really messy. Hello. Do you need your room cleaned? 100 alliance coins will do. The price is fair and cheap. A familiar voice sounded at the door. Zumu didn't recognize it for a while. However, Yu was still very familiar with this kind of part-time classmate who came to clean. Isn't it like this in novels? Basically, this kind of part-time classmate is some hidden boss or the second son of the family. Cultivate the team in school, secretly invest in geniuses, and pave the way for their own ascension to the throne in the future. This plot, Yu said, I am familiar with it. No need. Walking to the door, Yu answered symbolically. Looking outside the door, he laughed immediately. What a bullshit rich second generation. What hidden boss? Isn't this the little fat guy? Fuck, Liu Xiao, you are so good. How come you are cleaning the Magic City College? Didn't you get into the college? Yu hugged Liu Xiao and asked with a big laugh. Liu Xiao scratched his head a little embarrassed. Well, I'm a freshman in the same class as you. I applauded you when you were giving your speech just now. As expected, I was ignored by you. My heart is so tired. Liu Xiao smiled helplessly, with an innocent look on his face. Really? Haha. Yu laughed awkwardly twice, and quickly pulled Liu Xiao into the house. What are you doing? Looking at Liu Xiao's outfit, a headscarf with an apron, a housekeeping outfit. Yu was a little confused. What happened? Did your Liu family go bankrupt? Or is your father gone? How come you have to work and study like this? This is all thanks to you. At this point, Liu Xiao was a little embarrassed. It turned out that Yu misunderstood. It wasn't that something happened to the Liu family, nor that Liu Heizu was gone. The main thing was that the Liu family became rich. Because Yu had helped the Liu family before, this was also the only family that Yu had official contact with since his debut. The Liu family is now very prosperous. It should be said that Yu has become famous. The business and territory of the Liu family are expanding like crazy. Now, without exaggeration, the Liu family's assets have increased by at least 20 times in just 1 year, completely ranked among the top 20 families in the East, overwhelming many old families. Therefore, his cleaning this time is really what it means in the novel. Hide your identity, secretly make friends with good brothers, talents of this generation, then form your own team to pave the way for the future. So, Yu's initial idea was right. Liu Xiao is really standing up now. Looking at Liu Xiao's silly smile to himself, Yu was numb. I said I would pretend to be a pig and eat the tiger, but I was forced to pretend. Look at this little fat guy. This is really pretending to be a pig and eating the tiger. At this moment, Yu can only pray silently for the students of this class. Don't offend Liu Xiao. This guy's revengeful character is not much different from himself. At least he disclosed his identity openly, although he couldn't hide it. But Liu Xiao was different. He was just a fat boy pretending to be weak and stupid. This was the real way of playing the pig and eating the tiger. I really envy your life. With a long sigh, Yu couldn't help but sigh. What a trick of fate. Chapter 316, Welcomed the Instructor from Hell. After not seeing each other for a long time, Yu and Liu Xiao were still having a good chat. Although Yu is no longer the same person as before, the only things that have changed are his strength and fame. Yu is still the same as before, and Liu Xiao is now more knowledgeable about the ways of the world than before. When he is in contact with Yu, he will not deliberately lower his posture or flatter him, which would make Yu feel disgusted. So, the two of them were still having a good chat. About an hour later, Liu Xiao got up and said goodbye. There are still many new students who moved into the villa area apartments today that I haven't visited yet. I've got my eyes on a few good seedlings to go and see. Yu, let's get together another day. Liu Xiao left with a chuckle. His authenticity and naturalness made Yu feel very comfortable. Okay, then Mr. Liu, go and get busy first, and build the foundation of your future team. I won't bother you, a small person. Ha ha ha. After making an insignificant joke, Yu sent Liu Xiao away. I didn't expect Liu Xiao to be so much stronger now. Back on the sofa, Yu crossed his legs and turned on the TV, muttering to himself. In the chat between the two just now, when mentioning the recent strength, Liu Xiao did not hide it and told Yu everything. The little Snorlax at the beginning has become a big guy now. In addition, Liu Xiao also captured a Pokémon that is born to symbolize expensiveness, Koga Ninja. This little guy looks inconspicuous, but he is definitely a noble Pokémon. It is said that Yukira is the most difficult to raise. He grew up eating minerals, but it should be said that there are few Yukira and they are picky eaters. Although it is difficult to raise, the pressure of training is not too great. If it doesn't work, throw it into the secret realm of Silver Mountain to eat for a few months, and you will have everything. But Kokodora is different. The development of this Pokémon and whether its bones are strong or not depends entirely on its diet. Let's put it this way, Kokodoro, who grew up eating diamonds, and Kokodoro, who grew up eating gold, are completely different Pokémon. Bone strength, skill power and development strength are not on the same level. At this time, don't question how low the real market value of diamonds is. There is no need, it's just an example. So, the quality of Kokodora depends on the quality of the ore he eats since childhood. Liu Xiao dared to raise such an elf. It can be seen that the Liu family has made a lot of money during this period. The next day, Zumu watched Shirona put on military training uniforms, put her long hair up, and put on a hat. Seeing her heroic figure, he couldn't help but hold her in his arms. Reward her with a good morning. Hate you, bad guy. Shirona blushed and pushed Zumu away, saying coquettishly, hee, I'm bad with you. Zumu smiled and put breakfast in front of Shirona. Please move, my lady. Shirona nodded with satisfaction, sat on the chair, and began to enjoy Zumu's loving breakfast. Having a boyfriend who can cook is happiness, and this boyfriend is so handsome, it's double the happiness. We will have a full 21 days of military training this time. Will I get tanned? Shirona, who rarely paid attention to her appearance, couldn't help but struggle after thinking about the military training. Zumu smiled and said, if you get tanned, we won't need you. After making a little joke with Shirona, Zumu became serious and continued, don't make a fuss. The assessment results of this military training are still very important. It is said that it will provide a reference for the subsequent division of colleges. The instructors will assess the students based on their performance during the military training, and then accept a few disciples. As for the rest, they can only be forced to accept large class teaching. Zumu also got this information from Zulu. Although the college is open to students for free, it is not a shelter. It is not a charity. What the college wants is to cultivate talents and do its best to maximize talent training. Therefore, this kind of healthy competition that distinguishes the good from the bad is something that the college has always advocated. For example, the top 100 list is something that every college has. What is it for? It is to tilt resources and give the most talented students the best treatment. In the academy, it is not a society. You want to get more, and you need to show your labor value and ability. In this, what matters is the strength of the elves and the talents of the students. As long as you have high talent, the academy is willing to train you. As for whether it is money or not, it is not important. So, do you mean I should perform well? Shirona pouted. Zumu rubbed her golden hair and pinched her face. He smiled and said, it seems that you don't have to show anything. You are my girlfriend. Aren't there a lot of mentors who want to take you as a disciple? Besides, you are originally very talented. Military training is just a formality for you. Relax. By the way, I'll tell you a secret. As he said that, Zumu smiled. His smile made him think he was sunny, handsome, and unrestrained. Little did he know that in the eyes of Larula's, Celebi and Hoopa, it was simply extremely wretched, no different from the bad uncle next door. What secret? Shirona would naturally not dislike Zumu, even if his smile is ugly. I am a special consultant. I don't have to participate in military training, and I can even command you to go. Zumu said, and suddenly laughed happily. Like a child who has not grown up, he showed off his privileges in front of Shirona. In fact, people are like this. They talk about things in their own place. Outside, Zumu has to consider getting stronger, what to eat tonight, getting stronger, what to eat tomorrow, or getting stronger, what to eat the day after tomorrow. Now that he is at school, he has to put down his burdens and pressure, integrate into the school peacefully and enjoy the relaxation and happiness here. Therefore, Zumu laughed so immaturely at this moment, flirting with Shirona. This is what a student should be like. Hate it. Why do you have such a powerful privilege? Then you are not allowed to look at other female classmates. You have to come and accompany me. Sure enough, women, jealousy is their nature. Chirona subconsciously still thinks of female classmates, which shows that she is still a little worried about Zumuyu. As for why, just kidding, Zumuyu has brought back 2 little girls, although she was only 10 years old. Chirona could clearly sense it just by the way Selena and Zioxia looked at Zumuyu. This story is not simple. Although she said she was not jealous, she still felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. Accompany you all day, okay? Seeing Chirona suddenly and cutely make such a request, Zumuyu laughed and shook his head. Is this still the Chirona I know? She is actually jealous. So cute! If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 317. Come on, show it. Before there were no elves, military training was usually the best occasion for freshmen to show their talents. But now that there are elves, freshmen are not only concerned about their appearance, but all other limelights are taken away by elves. Let's be realistic. If you have an FE, then congratulations, classmate. You will not lack a girlfriend for 4 years in college. But if you have a stinky mud, congratulations to you, classmate. The next president of the university's Single Dog Association is you. Yes, it's so real. Here, the appearance of the elves and the appearance of the trainer are the basic conditions for determining whether a freshman is popular. Wow, his Pichu is so cute. Look over there, classmate Liu's Lucario is so handsome. I didn't expect that someone in our class would have Lucario. It's amazing. Look at that fairy elf. My god, I love it. And this peepee, my god, I'm going to die. The female classmates gathered together. The instructor hadn't arrived yet, and they were looking at the elves of the boys. Similarly, how could the male compatriots be so passive? Are you looking at me? Then I have to look back. It's just that the focus of boys and girls is a little different. Oh my god, that one has long legs. It's the best. Nonsense. That one is not good looking. Look at this short one. She is so cute. It would be great if she was assigned to the same class with me. Look at the girl with the cool leopard. My god, this temperament is amazing. Oh my god, I'm going to die. I actually saw Chirona. Chirona, where is it? The male classmates' eyes were still looking around at first, but they were soon focused on Zumuyu and Chirona. There is no way, in this school, when it comes to appearance, except for Zulu, Chirona is basically not afraid of anyone. Even Zulu, she is just different from Chirona. Ahem, what are you looking at? Stand still, the instructor will be here soon. Zumuyu was unhappy to see his woman being stared at by this group of stinky men. In fact, it is natural for gay men to like to look at beautiful women, but the problem is that these gay men look at women they shouldn't look at. Unconsciously, they have offended Zumuyu. Hearing Zumuyu's scolding, they dared not say much, and returned to the previously designated area to stand and wait for the instructor. What? You ask why there is no thorn? Are you kidding? Do you think this is a brain-dead article? Old book friends will not ask this question. You know, the later the story is, the harder it is to find a qualified villain. Many times, Zumuyu, as the protagonist, has to personally play the villain, such as today. After being scolded by Zumuyu, no one dared to have a temper and stood honestly. The girls were the same. When they saw Zumuyu, these freshmen instantly lost their attraction. Zumuyu is so good, handsome and strong, but it's a pity that he has a girlfriend. However, if he doesn't mind having another girlfriend, then I believe the female students won't mind either. Not long after, the instructor arrived. This time, Madu College enrolled 3,000 students, led by 30 instructors. After the military training is over, there will be an assessment of the military training. This also determines the major allocation of the freshmen and the choice of tutors. For example, the boy with Pichu. Even if he evolved Pichu into Pikachu in 21 days, it might not be enough. In this case, he would naturally be the last one in the freshman competition. So, he had to be transferred to the medical major or the animal husbandry major. It seems cruel, But it is also fair, the capable ones are given priority. Trainers of our generation are naturally strong and self-reliant. Hello everyone, I am your chief instructor, Li Hong. A middle-aged man walked in front of the 3,000 students with a standard pace. His voice was loud and his momentum was like a bell. We are the Secret Realm Garrison from Kyoto, and we are responsible for the 21-day military training for the students this time. In the days to come, I hope that the students can actively cooperate with our work and meet the requirements and standards of the military training. The purpose of our military training is also to cultivate everyone's awareness and ability to face crises in the future, and at the same time, we want to cultivate some truly capable talents to go to the border to support Lord Zhu. So, I hope everyone can take it seriously. I have finished my words, that's all, and then we will start assigning instructors. The applause rang out, and Li Hong waved his hand to indicate that it was not necessary. Then he began to call the roll. The instructors he called came out one by one and stood in front of the student teams they were responsible for. After the instructors and students finished claiming, Li Hong said again, "Student Zoom, you will serve as the instructor of this military training in the next period of time. If you have any questions, you can feedback to us through Student Zoom. At the same time, I hope everyone will cooperate with Student Zoom's work." This time the applause rang out again. It was dozens of decibels louder than before. This time, Li Hong did not wave his hand to signal everyone to stop. From this small detail, we can see that this is an old soldier who knows how to behave. At the same time, we can also see that Zoom's current reputation is not only useful among the people, it is also useful for these old soldiers who have actually been on the battlefield. Let's cooperate with each other and do the military training work perfectly. As for the rest, thank you for your hard work, Instructor Li. Zoom shook hands with Li Hong politely. At this moment, his identity was officially certified. Military Training Counselor. It's so comfortable. Zoom smiled at the more than 1,000 male students in the audience who came to see my girlfriend just now. I think everyone should get to know each other before the military training begins. How about this? Next, based on each team, we will do a small activity to make a good start for the military training, okay? According to the original plan, the instructor should lead the 100 students of their own team back to the training position, and then disperse after a few instructions. But Zoom suddenly spoke. Li Hong couldn't say much, so he could only nod and cooperate. Okay. Seeing that Li Hong had no objection, Zoom smiled even more. Well, this is my first time meeting you all. Let's do this. I will select a student from each team and ask him to come on stage to introduce himself and perform a small show. Okay? Zoom remembered the looks of all those guys who were staring at Shirona just now. Now, it's time to let them know the consequences. Come on, the boy in the hat in the second row of the first team. Yes, that's you. Come on, show it. Chapter 318. The happiness of military training is unimaginable. The male student was very confused. As an ordinary freshman, he said that he really didn't know Zoom. How come he won the prize today? Was he directly drawn and went on stage to show off? But the problem is that he can't perform any show. Ordinary is ordinary. Gritting his teeth, the male student looked around in panic, praying that there was a boy wearing the same hat. However, reality is cruel. Don't look at it. The boy who is looking around, it's you. Come on. Zoom's voice rang again. The boy was completely desperate. With everyone making way, he lowered his head and walked onto the stage silently. At this moment, his inner world was like this. Who am I? Where am I? I just glanced at Shirona. Why do I have to perform a show? Zoom showed a kind smile on his face and said warmly, don't panic, introduce yourself to everyone. In order to avoid embarrassing yourself later, others don't know who you are. The latter sentence was added by Zoom in his heart. My name is Passerby. I'm from... The male student followed Zoom's guidance and began to introduce himself. In front of 3,000 people, I really can't think of any freshman who can introduce himself confidently, except for those with social compulsion. I dare not think about that scene. Just thinking about it makes me feel embarrassed. Okay, have you prepared any programs? Zoom still smiled, and there was no sign of deliberate revenge or other intentions. The male students were all dumbfounded. What program? Does it count as a program if I wet my pants on the spot? In fact, many people are like this. That is, when they don't know what to do, they will subconsciously avoid it. Just like now, this male student can resolve this embarrassing situation with a simple sentence: "Sorry, I'm not prepared." But he couldn't say it. It's like when a teacher asks a question. There are always some students who will stand there stupidly and not speak. No matter what the teacher says, he just lowers his head and doesn't say anything. What a stupid group. And it wastes time. It will only make yourself more embarrassed. This kind of student is no different from normal people in normal times. But when being asked questions, he is so timid that it makes people want to scratch the wall. If you don't know, just say you don't know. Who are you lowering your head to? What's the matter? Do you have a good standing posture? After a full minute, the boy was still standing there, not saying a word. Zumu couldn't stand it anymore. Well, it seems that this student should have shown us what silence is. Let's applaud and encourage him. Zumu said freely, looking at another boy. This guy not only looked at Shirona just now, but also rolled his Adam's apple. This swallowing action obviously thought of something unhealthy. Come on, the fifth row of the fourth team. The boy with short hair, introduce yourself. Zumu's smile, in the eyes of the boy at this time, was so terrifying. As the student who just called passerby walked off the stage, the short-haired boy walked slowly. The same embarrassment, the same panic, the same confusion, doubting life. I have never won a pack of instant noodles in my life, but today I can be selected to perform on stage. 1 in 3,000. Is it that lucky? Walking onto the stage, this short-haired student often rewards himself. He is an experienced counselor. I don't know how to read comments. His thin body is like a piece of paper, as if a gust of wind can blow him away. The waxy yellow on his face is subhealth caused by long-term staying up late and lack of self-control. My name is I love watching movies, and this is my elf, Big Tongue. Compared with the previous student wearing a hat, this short-haired boy is still a little stronger. At least, he dares to speak, although his hands are shaking. But he still released his elf and greeted everyone. I don't have any talent, but my big tongue does. As he said, the boy took out an ice cream from his pocket. The big tongue also knew what he was going to do, and immediately stretched out his tongue and licked it. This talent completely stunned everyone. The big tongue licked the ice cream. The picture was so beautiful. In the audience, the male students almost swallowed their saliva involuntarily. Zumu was also stunned. Damn, this talent show. Is this a talent? This kid, if he was born in his own world, he would sooner or later become famous all over the world with this talent. Li Hong, the chief instructor, was also dumbfounded. So there is such a use for Tongue Blast? No wonder the higher-ups don't equip trainers with Pokémon like Tongue Blast or Shelter. It's crooked. It's crooked. The style of the entire playground is completely crooked. When the students who didn't watch the movie walked off the stage with despair on their faces, everyone at the scene turned their eyes to Zumu. Hurry up and call the roll. Looking forward to the next one. This is not a small activity. This is a benefit for the start of school, right? It's Zumu, this counselor. We accept it. Zumu took a breath of cold air. Although his goal was achieved, he didn't expect the style to be led astray. This is a bit difficult. That, the boy with glasses in the 7th row of the 6th team. Yes, that's you. However, what should continue must continue. To be honest, Zumu was a little curious, what kind of surprises these damn freshmen could bring him. Then, with the male student with glasses on the stage, a new round of performances began. A rice spoon snake that can use its tail to turn off the screen of a mobile phone for 3 seconds, and a stinky mud with toilet paper all over its body. In short, this small event of Zumu was quite exciting. Its excitement is unprecedented. Li Lun sat in the office, and after watching the performances of the freshmen, he covered his face and doubted his life. Isn't this right? Are these freshmen from our Magic City College? These are all test tube babies coming down the hillside, and they know more than your father. Isn't this too mature? Zulu's face was also slightly red. After watching the first few programs, she couldn't watch the rest at all. Fortunately, No TV station staff was invited today, otherwise if this scene was recorded. Dean, look, there is a slow hand on station A. Our school has been attacked by hundreds of thousands of netizens. What you fear will come true. Before Zulu finished thinking, an abrupt voice came. At that moment, Li Lun felt for the first time that he was so close to stepping down. Your nephew is really good at causing trouble. Young people just have a lot of ideas. Li Lun gritted his teeth and said this, and trembled as he turned on his phone. Then, bang! Chapter 319. The dean was sent to the hospital again. This bang was not the sound of a cell phone falling, but the sound of Li Lun falling from his boss chair. That's right, this young dean couldn't bear it anymore. This is so awesome. He just entered the college and caused such a big incident. What will happen in the future? Although he was young, Li Lun felt that he was a little overwhelmed, especially his blood pressure. It was rising. Help me take a look first. I'll go to the hospital. Leaving this sentence, Li Lun hurried to the hospital. Zulu didn't say anything, but the truth couldn't be hidden. The news that Li Lun was sent to the hospital was soon heard by the teachers. Then, it was the students at all levels. Now it's good. In less than an hour, the whole college knew it. Zumu's impromptu small event became popular. This thing is more useful than the enrollment brochure, and it directly increased the popularity of Madu College by hundreds of thousands. But there are also negative effects. That is, Dean Li Lun was sent to the hospital. The next morning, at 5 o'clock, the freshmen got up and started to wash up. Today is their first day of military training. Although we don't know what unknown difficulties we will face next, we are still looking forward to today's military training. We arrived at the playground early, and the students led their Pokémons to stand in line according to the previous formation. Let me say here that except for students with particularly prominent family backgrounds such as Zumu and Shirona, most of the freshmen now have only one Pokémon, so naturally, we can only release one Pokémon to stand by and accompany the training. Looking at the 3,000 Pokémons and 3,000 freshmen on the playground, Zumu smiled proudly. It's another beautiful day. Today's practice subject is standing at attention. In the afternoon, it is to practice throwing Pokeballs. After Li Hong assigned tasks to the instructors, the 30 instructors returned to the team and began training. Zumu came to Li Hong and asked casually, "Instructor Li, is this Pokeball throwing training important?" Indeed, as a genius, Zumu's growth environment is different from that of normal trainers, especially the growth trajectory. Zumu did not experience so much basic training and belongs to the type of self-taught. This is very important. The reason why we train this subject at the beginning is because of its importance. On the battlefield, I believe you also know that the situation changes rapidly. Li Hong's expression was quite serious. In his eyes, he absolutely recognized Zumu, but because of his recognition, he had to be responsible for every word he said, and he could not mislead Zumu, the young genius and the hope of mankind. In addition, in private, Li Hong preferred to call Zumu Mr. Zhu, because he was Zhao Tanyang's subordinate at the time. He had a special feeling for Zumu. It was not an exaggeration to say that Zumu was his major general. Throwing a Pokeball may seem like a simple action, but it is actually the basic skill of a trainer. Throwing the ball quickly and accurately is important for taming Pokémon and releasing Pokémon in time. For example, there is a Supreme Peak Pokémon in front of you, and it is about to attack you. What should you do? Li Hong said, choosing to explain to Zumu in a way that is easier to understand. Zumu thought about it and said seriously, "Fight him." Li Hong: "No, Master Zhu, let's assume for the time being that you can't beat him." Zumu nodded. "Then I will definitely run." Li Hong was relieved, but he was also secretly surprised that Master Zhu could even defeat a Supreme Peak elf. But on second thought, that's right, who is Master Zhu? Supreme Peak, nothing special. Okay. Then under the premise that you can't beat him, turning around and running away becomes your only decision. Then, how to run is the most appropriate. Of course, throw the Pokeball to drag this guy out, and then take the opportunity to run away. Zumu listened to Li Hong's words and said what he meant, as if there was a little bit of truth. But, have you seen the Supreme Peak? In fact, Instructor Li, after the elves reach the Supreme, they can create a barrier similar to protection. Zumu said, and he was a little embarrassed to continue. This is too embarrassing. Looking at Li Hong again, he has already looked up at the sky. Today's sunshine seems good. While the standing posture subject was in progress, Zumu had nothing to do, so he went down to walk around. Shirona stood in the first row of the team. She was so tall that even the military training uniform could not stop her from releasing her charm. Zumu came to her side. He looked around her unscrupulously. Not bad. You stand very standard. Keep it up. Shirona was furious when he said this indifferently. Do you want to sleep on the floor or on the sofa in the living room today? Giving Zumu a look that was not easy to mess with, Shirona ignored him and continued to stand at the military posture without looking away. Seeing that Shirona was frustrated, Zumu was not crazy and quickly retreated. This is called stopping when you are ahead. Stop the loss in time, otherwise, you may not even go home at night. Ha 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 ha. When he came to Liu Shao's team, Zumu took a look and thought, wow, this team is also divided according to the breed. This whole team is full of burly little fat guys like Liu Shao. What are you doing? Public trial of the fat boy. What's wrong with being fat? Did I eat your rice? Huh? Zumu was instantly upset. Little fatty, if you have any ideas about military training, just tell me. When he came to Liu Shao, Zumu did not expose their relationship, but asked in an official manner. Liu Shao hurriedly said, I am very opposed to the personnel allocation of our team. There is also an unequal allocation of boys in one team and girls in another team. I demand equal allocation of male and female students. Haven't you heard of men and women working together? Isn't it tiring? After Liu Shao said this, Zumu felt that it made sense. Yes, isn't it a mess to allocate like this? 100 boys in one team. Can there be passion in this training? You see, these elves have no enthusiasm, and that naughty boy can't even stand steadily, and he is so angry that he wants to explode. It's unreasonable. Just do it if you want to. Zumu spoke directly. Coach Li, I recommend that we change the arrangement of our team members. Li Hong saw Zumu speak, and did not dare to object. He immediately said, Mr. Zhu, please arrange it in any way you think is reasonable. We should also listen to the opinions of our classmates. Good. Zumu was waiting for this sentence. He stopped the training immediately, waved his hand, and changed his position, except for the Zerona team, which was still composed of all female students. The rest of the teams were all mixed with men and women. This is what military training looks like. We should give male students a chance to perform, right? It is said that Li Lun went to the hospital again that afternoon. Chapter 320. The battle between elves is the fundamental. Having solved the gender distribution problem of his classmates, Zumu felt that he was so great. Don't say that male classmates like it. Even female classmates are very happy to have the opposite sex surround them. With this wave of operations, Zumu once again won the hearts of this class of freshmen. He sent Li Lun directly to the hospital to measure his blood pressure. Just think that high blood pressure in this world needs to be measured in the hospital, otherwise this joke will not hold true. During lunch break, Li Hong, as the chief instructor, had to show his several elves to open everyone's eyes under the students' booing. In fact, most military training is like this. Every time the instructor shows himself, he seems to be very embarrassed and reluctant. In fact, he has already prepared in his heart, and even prepared the program in advance. Go, Nidoking. Li Hong released his trump card and raised his head proudly, watching Nidoking showing off his muscles crazily in the bright sunshine. Li Hong also took off his coat and started to synchronize with Nidoking. This deeply stimulated some chubby male classmates, such as Liu Shao. Liu Shao, just read my ID number. Instructor, who is better, you or Zumu? Why don't you guys have a competition? What is Liu Shao like? He is a troublemaker. If he is upset, he will naturally retaliate, and the best way to retaliate is to let the instructor fight with Zumu. In this way, it can also highlight Zumu's awesomeness and help himself vent his anger, which is simply killing two birds with one stone. Zumu's eyes lit up when he heard it. Good boy, you help me show off when we have a disagreement. I really like you. Secretly giving Liu Shao a thumbs up, Zumu looked at the other male classmates who were making a fuss, and reluctantly spread his hands to Li Hong. Li Hong was dumbfounded. No way. Is this class of students so difficult to lead? I just show off my muscles, and you want me to fight with Zoomu? What? Can't you afford it? Well, Mr. Zhu, let's not. Li Hong was about to refuse, and the classmates started to make a fuss again. In fact, for them, watching a fight is secondary. The main purpose was to see the instructor make a fool of himself, and at the same time, he could rest for a while. Come on, instructor, come on. Wintermelon rind, watermelon rind. The instructor is playing tricks. Instructor, can you not go up? No. If I tell you to go up, you should go up. It's not proper to be so shy. What are you like, girl? The students were all in high school, and they had learned the tricks of singing in the army. Naturally, they started to make noises. At this time, if Li Hong refused again, he would be really unmanly. So, he gritted his teeth and closed his eyes, and let it be embarrassing. Mr. Zhu, be gentle. After giving instructions, Li Hong signaled Nidoking to prepare for battle. Yo! Seeing that Li Hong agreed, the students began to cheer, and then stepped back to make way for the two. Zoomu smiled and said, okay, I'll try my best. Charizard and Dragonite were not around, and the Leaf King Snorlax were also assigned by Zoomu. After thinking about it, Zoomu remembered that Li Hong was a soldier led by Zhao Yang, so he released the Flame Chicken. Go, Flame Chicken. Zoomu smiled and looked at Li Hong, who was shocked at the moment. Yes, it's the guy you know. After getting Zoomu's confirmation, Li Hong burst into tears instantly. The news that Zhao Yang died on the battlefield was known to all of them, the old subordinates. I thought that as a small figure in this life, I would never have the chance to get in touch with anything related to Zhao Shuai. Unexpectedly, I met one of Zhao Shuai's 6 main forces here. This Flame Chicken was the veteran who led them to fight all over the world when Li Hong just joined the army. In other words, he is Li Hong's old boss. Flame Chicken, how are you these days? Holding back the invasion of tears, Li Hong forced himself not to cry. He asked with a trembling voice. Chamo, not bad. I remember you, kid, the guy who always hid behind back then. Right, Flame Chicken said, and suddenly laughed. Zoomu also tried to hold back his laughter and translated for Li Hong. Blazing Chicken said that you fought very bravely. Li Hong was puzzled at first, but soon realized that Zoomu was covering for him. He scratched his head embarrassedly. This is a bit embarrassing. After laughing twice, Li Hong was ready to get serious. Nidoking, although the opponent is our old friend, we still can't be soft. Let Blaziken see how much we have grown over the years. Nidoking roared in cooperation. The fire of fighting spirit in his eyes began to boil. Blazing Chicken, Flame Kick. Zoomu didn't waste any words. Since the fight started, he got serious. Nidoking might not last more than one round in Blaziken's hands, but Blaziken might have considered the little guy Nidoking's mind and didn't use his full strength. Give Nidoking a chance to show himself. Nidoking, Earthquake to block Blaziken's movement, then use Poison Charge. Li Hong still has a way. Unlike normal trainers, those who have been on the battlefield always use killing moves when fighting. Simple and effective, striving to defeat the enemy with one blow. Blazing Chicken, abandon the Fire Kick, use Swallow Return to avoid it. Zoomu also saw what Blaziken meant. Since this guy wanted to test this Nidoking, Zoomu would fully cooperate. After all, the responsibility of a trainer is not only to help the Pokémon exert 100% of its power, but also to follow the Pokémon's wishes and help it accomplish what it wants to do. This is a qualified trainer. Chamo, looking at Zoomu with gratitude, Blaziken used Swallow Return. At this moment, he really felt that his mind was connected with Zoomu. It was just like Zhao Yang commanded him to fight. Although Zoomu and Zhao Yang had completely different command styles, Blaziken could really feel Zoomu's presence and help. The Mega Evolution Stone on his wrist suddenly lit up. So did the keystone on Zoomu's wrist. It was a Mega Evolution. The bond between Blaziken and Zoomu was finally recognized by the Evolution Stone at this moment. A white light shone on the Flame Chicken's body. Its eyebrows gradually grew longer, and its body began to change. Nidoking, stop. Li Hong hurriedly ordered Nidoking to stop and not to destroy the evolution of the Flame Chicken. Looking at Zoomu who was concentrating, Li Hong suddenly felt a spiritual fire called inheritance surging, from Zhao Tanyang to Zhu Feng, and then to Zhu Mu now. Human beings, the post-elven civilization, are not without hope. At least, there are still generations of people who are going forward. Chapter 321 Mega Flame Chicken is so handsome. After a long time, Blaziken seemed to be reborn in the flames. The bright red flames were slowly absorbed by Blaziken, and his body became more dazzling. Blaziken's sign-in task was completed before, and he obtained the skill, Flame Birds Pay Homage to the Phoenix. Zhu Mu has never had the opportunity to use it with Blaziken to see how it works. Right now, the opportunity is just right. As for Blaziken's next sign-in task, it is also to go to the dungeon world, so let's not talk about it for now. Blaziken, congratulations. Chamo, it's our joint efforts. After a mega evolution, Blaziken also regained control of that power. For him, this kind of recovery is indeed worth congratulating, and in Blaziken's view, this is the recognition of his bond with Zhu Mu. In other words, he can finally trust Zhu Mu wholeheartedly. Treat this trainer as his support and everything. It's just like the love between young men and women, but it's really the case. Since Zhao Tanyang left, Blaziken's heart has basically been sealed. The last time Zhu Mu returned to the border, Flame Chicken could let go and fight with all his strength, which opened up his heart. Zhu Mu fulfilled his promise and really brought him back to the border, and it only took a few months. Feeling the long-lost power, Flame Chicken took off directly, leaping high into the air, Flame Kick plus Flame Birds paying homage to the Phoenix. This attack is definitely a big move. Flame Chicken fell from the sky, his right leg turned into a bird's beak, and his whole body was wrapped in thick flames, like a flamingo. At this moment, he was really handsome. If we only talk about the skill's special effects, I'm afraid that Koga Ninja is left behind by Flame Chicken by 10 streets. Only Charizard's evil Flame Dragon can be compared with it. Sure enough, the system is still a little biased. The handsomer Pokémon, even the ultimate move is so handsome. Flame Chicken, show mercy. Seeing that Flame Chicken was excited, he almost output with all his strength. Zhu Mu hurriedly shouted, "Let him stop. Don't let him lose control at once and be beaten to death by Nidoking." This guy was also born in the battlefield, and recently he was influenced by Pokémon such as Charizard and Dragonite. Now he is used to going all out when he disagrees with someone. Chamo, Blaziken also reacted and quickly stopped his strength. It was really a close call. He was just a little short of unleashing all the strength of the peak of the leader in the early stage of the Supreme after Mega Evolution. I can only say, Nidoking, you were lucky. If the insane Dragonite took action, I am afraid Li Hong would not have to watch the military training later. Instead, he would directly choose a graveyard for Nidoking. Seeing Blaziken stop his strength in time, Li Hong also breathed a sigh of relief. It's scary. Is this the hope of the future of mankind? Even the Pokémons of Senior Zhao Tanyang can be completely subdued and mega-evolved. Can this be described as gifted? Zhu Mu is definitely a cheater. In addition to being thankful, Li Hong was more shocked. Others don't know Blaziken's arrogance, but he knows it clearly. At the border, Flame Chicken is definitely the leader. He has never been afraid of anyone in a fight. He always leads the front row every time he charges, fearing that he will be a step slower. Now that such a tough guy can be conquered by Zhu Mu in such a short time, Li Hong is really speechless. Maybe now he has only one thought in his mind: our post-elf world may really be saved. Zhu Mu is the emperor of this era. Human Emperor Zhu Mu. It's absolutely true. The one who has the same idea as Li Hong is Li Lun, who is peeping in the dean's office at this time. Li Lun watched Zhu Mu and Flame Chicken communicate with each other, complete the bond evolution, and even use the ultimate move that Flame Chicken originally didn't know. He really couldn't believe it, but he had to believe it. This kid is too good. At this moment, Li Lun was extremely glad that he had given up the dignity of a prestigious school and brought Zhu Mu to the Magic City College in advance. This kid seems to have no disadvantages except that he is a little annoying. Such strong potential is simply too good. If possible, Li Lun now wants to post a circle of friends to tell the whole world. Damn, Zhu Mu is my student. After accepting Zhu Mu, Li Lun felt that he had basically reached the pinnacle of the path of the dean. Apart from other things, just the achievement of recruiting Zhu Mu. No dean in the future can surpass him, even after he dies. I am afraid that the Magic City Academy will leave such a sentence on his photo. Dean Li Lun, the greatest achievement in life, recruiting the most talented trainer in history Zhu Mu to enter the Magic City Academy. After the attack of Flame Chicken hit the open space next to Nidoking, this performance battle was also successfully concluded. The classmates cheered enthusiastically and shouted excitedly. They never thought that they could actually see the scene just now with their own eyes. This is simply worth remembering for a lifetime. Although they don't know Flame Chicken's qualifications and achievements at the border, this does not prevent them from being excited. Even if they may not be able to contact the Master Realm of Flame Chicken in their lifetime, it does not prevent them from thinking that Flame Chicken is awesome. Li Hong was also convinced of his defeat, and there was nothing to say. Zhu Mu could even defeat Zhao Tanyang's Pokémon, so how could he not beat a small official like himself? Mr. Zhu, your reputation is well deserved. Li Hong bowed his hands and said he was convinced. Zhu Mu also smiled embarrassedly. You are too kind. The two left the place talking and laughing. The students and instructors also began military training. Everything returned to normal, but no one cared about the big pit more than 5 meters deep that was kicked out by the Flame Chicken. Only Li Lun, after a brief excitement, remembered it. Oh my god, the school just replaced the plastic track. At this moment, only those who have experienced the same financial constraints can understand Li Lun's pain. Li Lun, who wanted to cry but had no tears, only felt his blood pressure soaring at this moment. The doctor just told him to keep a calm mind and pay attention to taking medicine to cooperate with the treatment. But now, Li Lun said that I can't control it anymore. Rushing out of the office, Li Lun only had time to explain, Zulu, help me keep an eye on the school. Don't let your nephew make trouble again. Zulu, who was standing at the door and just about to enter the house, was a little confused, but seeing Li Lun rushing out so hastily, he had expected it. If nothing unexpected happens, this guy is probably going to the hospital again. Haha, he is so young and his body is not good. The news that Dean Li is a playboy is not groundless. With a helpless smile, Zulu stood by the window, smiling through the window and watching Shirona flirting in public without any manners. Chapter 322, Intrigues Among Schools. As the exaggerated performances of the male students during the military training of the freshmen of Magic City College became popular, Magic City College also became a little popular on the internet. This wave of operations was soon learned by other colleges, and they began to imitate it. Isn't this more effective than the enrollment brochure? Look at the girls in our college. This is what college life is like. The neat and tidy dance of Madame Huanji and the female trainer. One by one, the official videos of the college began to become popular on the internet. When the old perverts were eating melons, they did not forget to comment on the previous sentence. Thank you Magic City College. What is this called? This is called drinking water and remembering the well digger. Without the leadership of Magic City College, there would be no benefits for everyone now. Therefore, thanking Magic City College is a must. This talk comes from thanking China Unicum. If you understand, you will understand. If you don't understand, please leave a comment or search it yourself. However, competition is a good thing, but excessive competition is a bit unreasonable. The cause of the story is a student of China College. Because of his overly intense speech on the internet, he angered the majority of old perverts who were eating melons. He was directly exposed. Then there was an overwhelming network bombing. Even some small anchors who want to attract attention have gone to the hometown of the bombarded student to live broadcast. Let's take a look at the customs of this network troll's hometown. Don't look down on these people who are trying to get attention. To be fair, it's not easy for ordinary people to do their job, but if you do it well, you can create a similar traffic account and make hundreds of thousands of alliance coins. This student was really hacked. He almost dropped out of school. But can China College agree? After all, they are a big college with a good reputation, and they also have to save face. Our students were exposed online in order to protect the reputation of the school. Can the students themselves be wronged? No. China College is also brave. Without saying anything, it directly stated officially, support our college students. This time, it is completely on the opposite side of netizens. For a time, all kinds of online fights and gossips were overwhelming, directly stealing the limelight from the Magic City College. Li Lun tapped the table lightly with his fingers, indicating that he was in a bad mood. Why? I have been sent to the hospital so many times, but I have been able to hold back until now. Why? Isn't it because Zhu Mu, this kid, can make trouble, but he can also bring publicity and benefits to the school? But now, this Chenan college has been slandered to death by the school's lack of brains, and has directly stolen the limelight from the Magic City College. This is too much. Zulu and a group of college leaders held back their laughter and sat in the conference room looking at Li Lun with a worried face. Well, before Zumu was able to make trouble, you were still petty and unhappy. What about now? You are not comfortable with being suppressed by others? Before, you said that it affected the image of the school, and now there is no traffic and no heat, and you start to worry again. Why are there so many things? Well, why don't we let Zumu organize another small event? After thinking for a long time, Li Lun slowly said this sentence. Suddenly, the whole audience burst into laughter. This time everyone couldn't help it and laughed out loud. Li Lun frowned for a while, and he couldn't help laughing along. Okay, I'll go talk to him after the meeting. After Zulu agreed, the school leaders continued the meeting and began to discuss some arrangements after the students' military training. And, what's wrong? Zumu, who was eating watermelon and drinking milk tea in the shade and taking military training photos for Shirona, suddenly received a call from Zulu. Nothing, it's a little too quiet today. Dean Li may want to go to the hospital. As expected of a family, every word they say is bloody. Ah. You just want to see me do something? Zumu smiled. I know this. Isn't it just to do something and increase the popularity of the school? Any requirements? Zumu was polite. Don't worry, just do it. The college will fully support it. Zulu said that Li Lun was almost anxious to get high blood pressure now. Pa. After hanging up the phone, Zumu clapped his hands. Everyone take a break. Gather. Opening his voice, Zumu directly called people to gather. Li Hong saw Zumu calling for assembly from a distance, and he ran over without saying anything. What's wrong, Master Zhu? Ever since Zumu beat him up in public, Li Hong has been even more polite to Zumu, and used to call him classmate Zhu, but not anymore. He just called him Master Zhu. It's not that he is materialistic, but this tough guy from the army is really convinced. The school wants to do some small shows. Does Instructor Li have any good ideas? Zumu asked. Li Hong is a rough guy. How could he understand this? He shook his head quickly and said, No, but I think people have one thing in common, that is, they like to watch the excitement, and the bigger the event, the more attention they may get. Obviously, although Li Hong is a member of the army, he is not a 2G network. He still knows some recent things on the internet and the open and secret struggles between various colleges. Watching the excitement is not a big deal. Zumu muttered twice, and he had an idea in his mind. Wait until the students and instructors gathered on the playground. Zumu smiled and said, I know that everyone who can come to our Magic City College is the pride of heaven and the best of our generation. Now being controlled and scolded every day must be uncomfortable. So, I applied to the school for an opportunity to give everyone a fair, just and open opportunity. Today, you will have a melee with 30 instructors, 3,000 against 31, including Instructor Li Hong. Before Zumu finished announcing the rules, the students were instantly excited. Damn, I can finally fight the instructors with a clear conscience. 3,000 against 31, let alone using elves. Just relying on the number of people can beat the instructors half to death. Zumu is so handsome. This is the voice of a young lady. Zumu, you are the best. I want to give birth to you. Woo. This is also the voice of a young lady, but what she said later is no longer clear. It should be that her roommate covered her mouth. Zumu, are you serious? A strong man suddenly spoke, his eyes full of excitement, bumping fists with his own Howli. This student was obviously ready. Master Zumu, are you kidding? This is the instructor. Hearing what Zumu said, the instructors were already dumbfounded. 3,000 students, Even if they are all rookie trainers, there is a King Lucario among them. Is there any difference between this and letting 30 of them take Li Hong to die? Chapter 323 Students are students after all. Zoomu doesn't care whether you can fight or not, or whether you get beaten or not. What he wants is happiness and fun. Anyway, Li Lun has spoken, let him do it freely. That's it. Everyone, take a rest on the spot. 10 minutes later, 31 instructors will be on the rostrum of the playground, waiting for everyone to attack. Zoomu shouted, directly setting the tone for this fight. Good. The students at the scene were full of vigor. After being trained for several days, now they finally have a chance to take revenge. How can they miss it? With a roar of unity, the students sat down to rest and began to instruct their elves. Even some students with leadership consciousness and spirit have begun to form gangs and consolidate their leadership positions, pave the way for future work in the student union. This is a good opportunity to show up, and they secretly told themselves to seize this opportunity and never miss it. Thanks to Zoomu for giving them enough opportunities for these ambitious people, the instructors gathered together with solemn faces, looking at Li Hong, waiting for the order of the superior. We can't lose face this time. Although there are many of these children, they are still rookie trainers after all. As long as we can perfectly exert the effectiveness of the battle formation, it is not impossible to fight 1 against 100. Besides, we are all Pokémon trainers with 6 Pokémon. If we fight, it is not really 1 against 100. There is still a chance. Li Hong was very calm and said that he was still confident about this sudden battle. It is not a real defeat. Hearing Li Hong's command, the instructors nodded one after another. What the commander said makes sense. It is really uncertain who will win or lose in this fight. In addition to this, there is another thing. Zoomu just told me that this fight will be broadcast live, and it will be edited into a video for everyone to enjoy online in the future. So, even if we lose, we must lose with dignity. At the very least, we can lose the battle but not the battle. We must fight with backbone. Understand? Li Hong said, looking sharply at his 30 subordinates. Obviously, this old soldier from the border was serious. Yes, these are veterans who have fought many battles, but they are also veterans. If they were defeated by a group of young boys, it would be a shame. They would probably be used as negative examples when they return to their old unit. Understood. They responded in unison. The voices and momentum of the 30 people even surpassed the shouts of the 3,000 students before. Iron-blooded soldiers, that's no joke. The killing on the battlefield is completely different from the battle against hells in life. Soon, 10 minutes were up. 31 instructors stood on the podium, back to back in a circle. Okay, since everyone is ready, let's start, Zoomu said, pulling Shirona onto Lugia's back. The two stood in the air, holding up their phones, and started a live broadcast using the school's official account. My friends, my family, hello. Yes, I'm Zoomu, and I'll show you a wonderful little show today. Look below, there are 3,000 freshmen from our Magic City University, and those standing on the rostrum are our 31 instructors for this military training. Due to some special reasons, our instructors are going to have a duel with the freshmen today. 3,000 versus 31. Whether the process is exciting or not depends on their ability. After Zoomu finished speaking, the passers-by in the live broadcast room suddenly became interested. However, because the fan base was not high to begin with, and the broadcast was vulgar, the number of people watching the live broadcast online at one time was only a few thousand. Li Lun saw that the duel was about to begin, but the number of people in the live broadcast room couldn't go up. Is this okay? He made a prompt decision and swiped 3 rockets in a row, directly pushing the live broadcasts to the top of the hot list. This time, there was traffic. Zoomu, it's Zoomu, the official account of Magic City University? What happened? Oh my god, is this Zoomu and Shirona? Idol, I'm going to give you gifts. You must be together. Zoomu CP, invincible. Zoomu, fly bravely, take the blame if anything happens. What the hell is upstairs? Isn't Zoomu flying all the time? Looking at the gradually distorted barrage, Zoomu helplessly held his forehead. Family, today's theme is not me and Shirona. You should also be rational when you are liking CP. Don't make it like a brainless fan, okay? Zoomu is not an idol. so naturally he doesn't need to maintain any image. If you disagree, you speak the truth. The first idol in history without idol baggage. Zumu, I'm a fan of you. Zumu is too real, we like the real. Zumu, fly bravely, go, go, it's over. Seeing that the live broadcast room is getting more and more distorted, Zumu directly changed the camera to the rear. At this time, the fight has begun. Although there are some young people with leadership awareness among the classmates, they don't have the persuasiveness and prestige of Zumu. Naturally, their offensive is a mess. They put together several teams of hundreds of people and surrounded the rostrum from 4 directions. The battle is about to start. Eagle group, dog group, shield group, all in place. Li Hong shouted, and 30 instructors summoned their elves together. They set up a standard defensive formation. This formation is not often used, but every soldier must remember it, because on the battlefield, once this back-to-back circular defense formation appears, it means that they are in a desperate situation. In other words, this is a formation of a trapped beast fighting. If nothing unexpected happens, almost no soldiers who have used this formation on the battlefield will survive. The Eagle group mentioned by Li Hong, as the name suggests, is a flying elf. These flying elves are specifically responsible for air defense to prevent the enemy from destroying the formation from high altitude. The dog group refers to flexible elves such as cats and dogs. On the front battlefield, the individual strength of the Pokémon is infinitely reduced, but we have to admit that the existence of agility-type Pokémon has its reason. Whether it is attacking the breaking point or restraining the formation, it plays a vital role. Generally, the dog group is Pokémon such as Houndoom, Growlithe, Magna, and Kentaro. The last shield group, it is Mount, a combination of Pokémon responsible for defense. These Pokémon are meat-shield Pokémon such as Snorlax, Steelix, Boscadoro, and Rhydon. Their existence is to maintain the integrity of the formation and protect the trainer from harm. They are the foundation and basis of this defensive formation. Only with them can there be a defensive counterattack in the later stage. Chapter 324 Zumu takes action. The students' Pokémons rushed to the instructor's formation almost without any rules. This formation is actually more suitable to be called a battle formation. However, because Li Hong's personal strength is not enough to inspire the blood and passion of the soldiers, it can only be called a formation. It cannot be called a battle formation. However, even so, the battle formation formed by these soldiers, coupled with a huge gap in strength, still made the students suffer enough. Because there are too many people, the students can only give instructions to the Pokémons in advance, and then let the Pokémons charge to fight on their own. Lack of the ability to adapt to changes, plus most of these students' Pokémons are rookie trainers, so it is inevitable to make various mistakes during the battle. Hey, keep an eye on your Pokémons. My Gyarados was accidentally injured by your stinging jellyfish. Oh my god, look carefully, that's not my stinging jellyfish. Besides, if it was my stinging jellyfish, I would have no way to help him, and he can't hear me now. The conversation between the two students was like a small miniature, constantly replayed among the students. The instructor, on the other hand, was as still as a mountain. On the premise of maintaining the basic formation, he kept counterattacking. Most of them still have 4 Pokémons that they haven't used yet. Now is the time to stabilize the pace and foundation while the students are just beginning to get in touch with this kind of melee and are not familiar with it. After the students' Pokémons are constantly wasted, their counterattack will begin. Zumu was not idle either. When watching the battle in the air, he would also give battle commentary to the netizens in the live broadcast room. To be honest, in addition to the border incident, Zumu has indeed seen several large-scale battlefields. On the battlefield, many of the techniques used in Pokémon battles that trainers were familiar with in the past are completely inapplicable. What is needed here is uniformity and obedience to orders. There cannot be any personal color that destroys the team as a whole. Speaking of this, I will also talk about some off-topic things, not water. I believe that the book friends who have seen this should know that talking about off-topic things is Laumo's style. Zumu has been fighting individual battles in the early stage, that is, Pokémon battles, but in the future, this kind of individualism will gradually be replaced by large-scale Legion battles. To be honest, No Pokémon fanfiction dares to write such a big scene. Even the author, who is very familiar with the original work, does not have the confidence. But Lao Mo dared to arrange the system for Zoomu to collect the lost protagonists. It was for, guess slowly. Therefore, in the future battles, there will be more Legion battles, battle formations, murderous scenes, etc. Some people think that this book ends after Zoomu breaks through the border, but that is too much to underestimate the author. There are many big scenes in the back. 100,000 neat and tidy Flame Horse Cavalry Regiment, 300,000 electric elite troops. Have you seen these? The battle between the students and the instructors is just the tip of the iceberg of large-scale combat, or it is a miniature epitome. 3,000 against 31. Under the organization and discipline of the instructors, the students lost. The previous chaos lasted for about 10 minutes, and Li Hong ordered a counterattack. The instructors released all their elves and began to harvest. At this time, the students' elves had been in chaos because they had been unable to attack for a long time and their combat literacy was insufficient. Faced with the sudden counterattack of the instructors, they were even more confused. For a while, they were in a mess, and there were many incidents of accidental injuries and trampling. Zoomu frowned. Is this the pillar of the future? Madu College is one of the best colleges in the world. All the students who come here are the pride of their generation. However, their performance today really disappointed Zoomu. 3,000 against 31. They can lose, and lose so thoroughly, it's really unbearable to watch. They are all spoiled by their families. This bunch of rubbish. Frowning and cursing, Zoomu handed the phone to Sirona and jumped straight off Lugia's back. In midair, he used his superpowers to suspend his body. Zoomu shouted, "You are just like this." That's it. The most outstanding talents in the East were beaten into this by 30 little elite trainers? Even Instructor Li Hong is just a peak trainer, and there is still a long way to go before he becomes a superstar. And what about you? Look at what you have done. It's a mess, like mud, with no order at all. It's so embarrassing. Don't say you are all newcomers. There must be second-generation children whose fathers have been to the battlefield here, right? What are you doing? Watching the fun. Have you thrown away the military skills you learned since childhood? Zoomu yelled in exasperation, and his words were so harsh that the students lowered their heads in shame, not daring to look into Zoomu's angry eyes. From today on, the amount of military training for the children of the family will be doubled. I am not targeting you. You have been blessed with generous resources since childhood and have a unique educational advantage. How did you perform in the end? What is the difference between you and the newcomers who come from poor families and know nothing? Even worse than them, the same goes for the poorer disciples. From today on, the subsidy resources you receive in the academy will be increased by half, and will be deducted from the family disciples. The academy will make up for the shortfall. Zoomu said, announcing this new rule that stunned the students with a look of regret. You don't accept it, right? I know you don't accept it. You watch out for what's next. Shirona's Lucario is at the peak of the Heavenly King, and she herself has command capabilities above the Heavenly King. Look at what these instructors who just defeated you did when facing a strong enemy like Shirona. What is a real battle? Learn it from me. After Zoomu finished speaking, he signaled Shirona that she could start. He didn't let Shirona participate in the battle just now, and that was his purpose. Li Lun and other school leaders sat in the office, listening to Zoomu's roar from the live broadcast. A knowing smile. Now is not a peaceful time anymore. The battle on the border is in full swing, and the arrival of the secret realm is becoming more and more frequent. There is not much comfort left for these young people. Heavy punishments are used in troubled times. Not only do they not oppose Zoomu's approach, but they think it should be strongly supported. The college has never been a place to raise trash, especially the Magic City College. Here, the strong will always be in it and the weak will be eliminated. I support Zoomu's decision. By the way, please contact each college. Let's change the freshman competition for colleges around the world this year. Cancel the previous elf battle and turn it into a team battle. In the future, the battlefield is the destiny of these children. Peace may depend on them to achieve. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.